The exercise files for today's course are located in the video description below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Hey everybody, welcome to our course on Google Docs. My name is Elissa Smith. I am a software applications facilitator with over 20 years of experience, and I'm excited to guide you on this tour of the Google Docs application. It's a great processing application for creating documents. We're going to check out ways to really help make your journey in Google Docs easier and smoother with shortcuts and ways to make some fantastic looking documents. So join us on our Google Docs journey. Hi, we're ready to actually create a new blank document inside of Google Docs. So right here, I'm on the Getting Started screen of the Google Docs web application. I'm using a Windows PC. There are also Windows Doc apps for both Android and iPhone, but for this session, we're going to be in the Google Docs web app. Now remember, I'm still in Google Web Apps. I can see that because in the top right-hand corner, I'm logged into my Google Apps account. And also we've got the waffle. Google actually refers to it as the application launcher, but either way, this is your access to your other apps within your Google account. Now to start a new blank document, you'll see here there is the blank icon, but notice that there are also some pre-made templates that you can use to create basic documents. And also right here, you've got a search where you can go through the entire Google Docs library of apps. This is similar to what Microsoft Word has, but for us, we want to start with a new blank document. So I'm going to click on that. Now it opens up and I'm now inside a new blank file inside of Google Apps. And you can see here, or I should say Google Docs, that there are a few common things that you're going to see in the interface. First of all, right now I'm in an untitled document. You can see that's where I can go up to name my document, which we'll do in just a second. Then you have this default toolbar. It's kind of fun that Google's going back to having this toolbar. Keep in mind, these are the most popular buttons. They consider these the ones to be that you'll be clicking on the most. Now, above that, you have drop-down menus. These are really retro. When you click on these, you'll see that there are different options. So let's just take a minute and go through some of these. File is going to allow you to do things like open, print, and also make copies, rename the file. Under Edit, you're going to have the things like undo and redo, who are also located here on the toolbar, and then cut, copy, paste, find, and replace. The View drop-down menu is all about how you're viewing your Google Doc. This allows you to do things like turn the ruler on and off. And then we have the Insert menu. This is where you can bring in images, tables, charts. We'll look at some of these later on. The Format ribbon is all about basic formatting, but does include some important options like bringing in headers and footers, also updating your page orientation. The Tools menu is going to give you spell check, also word count, and even a translation tool. The Add-Ons is about bringing other applications into Google Docs. And then, of course, the good old Help menu. Now, in the top right-hand corner, you're going to see you have an option to actually collapse the toolbar so that you don't see the menus that are up above it, or you can open that up. And then also options to share a file that you're in, or additionally, also to present it to a meeting or even leave comments. Now, we need to actually save this file so that we can start using it. So right here, I'm going to come in and give it a name. It's going to be saved to my Google Drive by default because everything saves in the cloud. You can see that after I typed in the name, it told me it was saved to my Google Drive. So again, we want you to try it out. Open up Google Docs, try opening up a blank document, and join us for another journey soon. Welcome back. We're ready to take a new blank Google document that we have just created, make sure that we know where it's being saved, and also where we can get help within the Google Docs application. Now here in Google Docs, I just have a new blank file opened up. Again, remember, if you go to File, you can actually come down to New and select to open up a new blank document. And this automatically takes you to a new blank untitled document, which is just what we want. Now that I'm here, I'd like to spend a little bit of time getting some ideas of how I can get help when I have a question within the Google Docs web application. Up here, you'll see that there is a help menu. When you click on help, notice at the very top, there is a search option. This is a great place to go when you just don't know how to do something. Like, for example, how do I print a Google Doc item? When I type in print, you'll see that it is similar to other word processing applications, but it also just takes me to the item rather than telling me how to do it. So this took me to the print preview window where I can actually print my document. So the other options that you have in the help menu, you'll see as you come down at the very bottom, there are keyboard shortcuts. These are going to be specific to Google Docs, but you'll notice that some of them are familiar. Most applications use Control B for their keyboard shortcuts. You'll also see as you scroll down that there are some other ones that you can go through to help you get up to speed with, again, Google Docs. So when it comes to getting help, we really suggest that you come up and use the help menu because you'll see both a search for help and also an option to open up the Docs help. This just opens up a separate window where you can actually do your search within Google Docs. But remember that some of it is actually going to take you to the item and other parts are actually going to take you to the steps, depending on how you do your search. Now, we definitely would like you to try this out. So open up a new blank document and go ahead and try going into the help menu and explore some different topics that you're interested in learning about. Hi, we're ready to do some navigation and also do some data entry inside of our Google Docs document. Again, we'd love to have you try this out. So in our exercise files folder, there is a file called Travel Seminar-1. Pop it open and then you'll have one that you can play with as well. Couple of tips when it comes to navigating in Google Docs. You can use your scroll bars on the right-hand side to scroll up and down. Also, if you're on a mouse that has a scroll wheel, it does the same thing. A couple of great shortcuts that are available in many Windows devices. Control Home, the control button with the home key, which is usually located by your page up button, will always take you to the top of the document. And if you notice right beneath that or to the side of it on your keyboard, an end key, END, Control End will always take you to the very end. These are two great toggles, Control Home and End, to jump between the top and bottom of most documents. And they also work in other applications. Now, when it comes to data entry, it's very similar to other word processing applications. I want to click where I want to type. And as soon as I click, I'll see my cursor blinking there. And then I can, of course, start typing on my keyboard. And as soon as I type, it will actually enter in the text that I am going to be, of course, selecting. Now, when it comes to things like replacing text, right here, you'll notice, for example, maybe I need a different name. I can double click on a word that will select it. And then I can type over the top and it will replace it with my new text. This is very common typing and editing like you would see in other applications like Microsoft Word or even good old WordPerfect from way back when. Now, if I need to insert new text, I'm going to go ahead and click next to the text where I would like to insert, and then I'm going to type in my new text and it will be entered into the document where I'm typing. Again, we want you to try this out, so go for it. Hey, welcome back. I want to show you one of my favorite features in Google Docs. Because this is, again, open in a web browser, it really gives us a lot of utility. What if you're not a typing fan? One of the greatest things that's coming to the internet is the ability to do voice to type. This is where you just talk and it types it for you. So the first step is to actually click in your document where you want this to go. I'm just going to come right here at the end of this paragraph and click right here. Then to turn on the voice to type, I'm going to come up to the Tools drop-down menu inside of Google Docs, and I'm going to come down to voice typing. Now, it's strongly suggested you have a microphone installed on your computer for this to work really well. So I'm going to select voice typing. Then you'll notice here that I see this little microphone box. Now, a couple things unique with this. You can move it around on your screen. Additionally, also, you can actually click right here and it does several different languages. You can see that English is, of course, the default, but of course it's Google, so they support a lot of other languages. When I'm ready to start actually having my words be transcribed in the document, I'm going to go back here again and click where I want it to go. I'm going to click on the microphone and then start talking, and it's going to record everything I'm saying. This new internet system application will allow users to control their own information and update their account automatically, period. You click on it to turn it off. Now, I can turn it back on at any time, but notice the portion that I wanted has been added to the document. You can also do things like new line. We will also get to hear from the president of the organization as well, period. Things like new line and period will actually allow it to put a new line into the document and also add punctuation. It's a really cool utility. And when I'm done using this voice to type, I can just come right here and click on the X and close it, and it will turn off. And as always, Google Docs is saving everything I'm doing as I go. Now we want you to try this out. So go to the exercise files, open up Travel Seminar 2, and try using the voice to text feature yourself. Hey, let's look at some paragraph and line spacing inside of Google Docs. So right now I'm in my file, and if I have a paragraph, I can just click and have my cursor blinking in that paragraph, and it will automatically adjust the line spacing or paragraph spacing for that entire paragraph. So I'm going to come up to the toolbar, or I should say, the toolbar, and come over to the right-hand side to the line and paragraph spacing button. This gives me some basic, again, line spacing options like single or double. Notice at the bottom, I also have options like keep with next. This is if lines get separated across page breaks. And you'll notice right here, prevent single lines is automatically turned on. I can also just come in and click for 1.5 by doing 1.5. And you can see how this is adjusting it. Now, if I would like to do some custom line spacing, I can come right here to custom spacing, and it provides me with a custom spacing box where I can see the line spacing, and then I can decide a certain number of points that I'd like before and after a paragraph. For example, I could change this to having 6 points of space before and after my paragraphs. You'll notice that this might adjust the paragraph just a little bit. Now, when it comes to the alignment of my paragraphs, I have the good old basics. Left is the default, then I have center, right, and justified. So if I want to take a paragraph and have it be right aligned, I can come here by just having my cursor clicked in the paragraph. I can click, and you'll notice that it will shove everything over at the right-hand side. Remember that justified means that it's trying to have equal spacing between both sides of the page. A lot of text is printed this way because sometimes when you have a left alignment, it leaves a lot of empty space over here on the right-hand side of the page. But these are not something new, and a lot of other word processing applications use very similar buttons. So again, we want you to try it out. In the exercise files folder, open up Travel Seminar 2 and try doing some of your own paragraph spacing and also alignments in that file. Welcome back. We're ready to look at how you can do indenting inside of your paragraphs and also tab stops. I want to start by just seeing that when I go to a paragraph, I can indent the first line of a paragraph by hitting my tab key. And I'll see that as I hit tab, my paragraph will move over by 1/2 inch. This is the default. You can see that happen. Now, if I undo that, it'll take me back to where I started. Again, good opportunity to use the undo button. What if you would like to adjust those on your own? For example, you would like the top line of your paragraph to be 1 inch in. Notice up here in the ruler, and again, if your rulers aren't turned on, make sure you go to the View drop-down menu and put a check mark next to Show Ruler. If you uncheck it again, it will turn it off. So make sure it's turned on because that's where you're going to see these two options. You'll see that there is an upside down blue arrow. This is for your left indent. And then you'll also see that there is a bar above the top of it that's blue. And this is called the first line indent. Also over on the right-hand side of the ruler, you will see your right indent. Now in a paragraph, by default, you can come up to those little arrows in the bar and you can actually drag them together. And what you'll see is if I drag this over to 1 inch, it will tell me, and when I release my mouse, because I've dragged both the arrow and the bar together, all the lines of my paragraph will adjust. Now I'm going to undo that because I just want the top line to adjust. In that case, I'm going to come to the bar and just drag the bar over to the 1 inch mark. Notice how it shows me when it gets there. I'm going to release my mouse and notice just the very top line of my paragraph has adjusted. Now, if I'm going to undo that again, and you can do Control Z, by the way, in Google Docs, and it will undo what you've just done. If I have several paragraphs that I would like to adjust for, I can actually highlight all those paragraphs with my mouse. Then I can come in and go to that, again, top bar for the first line indent, just left drag it, And notice that in all of my paragraphs, any paragraph, just the first line will adjust. I'm going to undo that because I just want to do it actually to this paragraph right here. So I'm just going to drag over the 1. Now, what about the right-hand side? I can also adjust the margins of the right-hand side by coming to the right indent. This is the one at the right-hand side. And again, the arrow also points down. I'm going to drag it in about an inch. And I'll see that just for that one paragraph, again, it's changing the indent for the line or paragraph that I'm on. We'd love to have you try this out. So in the exercise files, go in and look for Travel Seminar-3 and give it a whirl. Hi, we're ready to actually look at bulleted and numbered lists inside of Google Docs. Now, right now, I have my board meeting document open, and as always, we'd love to have you try this out with us. So go to the exercise files folder, open up board meeting-1, and you can try it out with me. Now, the first thing I want to look at is to explore different options. I do have in this board meeting document, or I should say Google Doc, I have a list of items. You will see that each of these lists is separated with an enter to put it on a separate line. This is a great opportunity to create a bulleted list. And Google Docs has some nice, simple ways to do this. So I'm going to come in and select the, again, lines that I want to make into bullets, and then come up to the toolbar. On the right-hand side, I have the Bulleted Lists button, which if I click on it, it just does the good old solid filled in black bullet. Nice and simple. Now, a couple of tricks. Let's say, for example, that I have this first bullet, and underneath of it, I need a sub bullet. When I hit enter, it's going to create a second bullet. But if I hit tab, you'll see that I get a sub bullet. So you see here that I'm creating the sub bullet underneath of that. Now, another great tool is what if you need a second line, but not a bullet? In that case, a really great keyboard shortcut is to do Shift with the Enter key. This allows you to get a new line, but it's still actually part of the same paragraph so that you can type underneath. So this is not another bullet. It's actually part of the bullet above, but it's on a separate line. And I could create another new line by doing Shift Enter again. Now, what about other styles of bullets? I'm going to select my bulleted list and come back up to the toolbar. Next to the bullets button, you will see again a sub arrow. This will actually let me select different styles where I can have stars with sub bullets, or I can also have, for example, the good old arrows. It's a little bit simpler than some applications, but it keeps it easy. Now, additionally, I also have a checklist option. This is great if you're trying to create a physical list of items people need to complete. It basically gives you checkboxes, and you can actually click on them, and not only does it create the check mark, it also strikes out the text next to it. These are great when you're trying to give a to-do list to yourself or others that you're trying to document. Also, you have numbered lists. For this one, I'm going to come over to the 1, 2, 3. This will give me the good old 1, 2, 3 with ABC's lowercase for my sub bullets. But notice again, I have a few different styles. I can also do numbers with a parenthesis, or I can also do Roman numerals with capital numbers. So lots of great options when it comes to being able to create a bulleted or numbered list to help add, again, easy readability to your Google Doc. Try it out. Welcome back. We're ready to actually copy some information in our Google Doc to create, again, a duplicate. Now, you may have done this in other applications. It's very similar in Google Docs. The first step is to get your text selected. I'm going to go ahead and left drag over my text. Another trick you can use, though, is to actually click on one side of the text, hold down your Shift key, and then click on the other end, and everything between the 2 points will be selected. Also, in a paragraph, you can triple click, and that will also highlight all your text. Now, how do we copy? Notice over here on the right, we actually have some opportunities to add comments or suggest edits, but in this case, we're trying to actually copy. If you're on a PC, you can actually right click and you'll get a copy option here. Also, if you go up to the edit menu in the drop-down menus, you'll see that copy is additionally there, along with a reminder on the right that Control-C will allow us to copy. So let's give it a try. I'm going to actually do Control-C, and we don't see it, but the text has been copied. All right, now how am I going to put it somewhere? Well, I actually want to open up a new Google Doc and put it in a new blank file. So for that, after it's been copied, I'm going to come up to my File ribbon. I'm going to go to New, and of course I want a new document. I get a new blank file, and then to paste it in, I'm going to right click and notice I can either do paste here, I can go to my edit menu and I can do paste there, or I can do Control V and it will paste it in. So even if I'm going to a new blank document, it will allow me to paste this information in. Now, how do I get back to my original file where I copied the data? I'm going to come right here and move back to my board meeting tab, and it will take me back to my first document. So each of my Google Docs will open in their own separate browser tab. And if I want to get back to the new untitled document, I just click on the browser tab and it will take me to it. So really, copying and pasting data is still very similar to how it is in other applications. Again, open up the exercise files folder, check out, again, board meeting -1 and try copying and pasting some of the information in that particular file. Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm ready to look at how I can move information or cut. This is, again, something that we've done in other applications like email and other word processing programs. But in Google Docs, it works in a very similar way. And when we say cut, we actually mean move. And I think move is a better way to put it. The first step, though, is to get the content that you want to move selected. Now, I am in the board meeting document. And in our exercise files folder, if you go and open up board meeting -1, you can try it out. So do it. The first step, though, is to get everything highlighted. I'm going to go ahead and just left drag over everything that I want to highlight. It includes this paragraph and the table at the bottom. Now, a couple of options when it comes to moving. I can go up to the Edit drop-down menu and select Cut. Notice the pair of scissors. There's also the, again, Control X, which is the keyboard shortcut. Or if you're on a PC, you can also right-click and do Cut, and you left-click on the word. Now, it will remove it from the document because we're moving it, remember? Now, in this case, I actually want to put it in a new blank Google Doc. So I'm again going to come up to the File ribbon tab and go to New and pick Document. It opens up another new blank tab. And then again, to paste, I can either right-click and say Paste. Notice this gives me choices whether I paste it without formatting or whether it will come formatted. I can also do Control V on my keyboard and it will paste everything into my new Google Doc. Now, if I go back to the tab for my original board meeting document, I'll see that that information has been removed out of it because I just pasted it out. As always, you can undo it, but just remember that moving is really cutting, and there are a lot of great options for that, either up in the toolbar or by using those shortcut keys like Control X or by right-clicking. Try it out. Hey everybody, I want to take a minute and focus on a topic that can save you a lot of time, and that is using keyboard shortcuts. Now, I know some people are not convinced, but especially in a word processing application, always relying on your mouse to click up in menus and select things can really take a lot of time. The other nice thing about keyboard shortcuts is many of these are universal, especially when you're working on a Windows PC, which we are. So let's look at some old reliables and also some new ones. Now, first of all, there is a nice list of keyboard shortcuts available in Google Docs. All you need to do to open it up if you're on a PC is just to hit the keyboard keys Control / and it will actually open up the list. Now, if you don't remember the keyboard shortcut, the other way to open up this keyboard shortcuts list is to go up to the Help ribbon. It's a drop-down menu item, actually, and come all the way to the bottom, and you'll see that it gives you the keyboard shortcut right here. This is just a list of the primary keyboard shortcuts available through Google Docs. And notice some of these are the same as other word processing applications like Control B for bold, Control I for italics. So let's try a few of these. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and just select a specific word by double clicking on it and then do Control B on my keyboard. That will put it in bold. If I'd like to underline something, I can select it and then do Control U for underline. Those are pretty common. Now, what about if I'd like to do a center alignment? I'm going to select the text, and then on my keyboard, I'm going to go ahead and do Control Shift with the letter E, and that will center it. I don't know why they use an E, but they do. There are other really common ones that can be useful. For example, I'd like to select all the text and content in my document. I can do that with a Control A. That will highlight everything. And then, for example, it would be really easy for me to come in and pick a different font style and update all the fonts in my document. Also, some other ones that can be useful would be applying different text styles. These are a combination. For these, I can highlight text. And for example, say I would like a different text style, I can actually come up and do Control-Alt with the 1 key. This changes my text to the heading 1 style that I can see here. And do remember that you always have Control-Z. That's your undo button. That one's really important. So again, we'd love to have you try out some of these keyboard shortcuts that we've mentioned and also open up the keyboard shortcuts list. Remember, you can always try this out by going to the exercise files folder, and we have Anila's report-1 in there that you can try out some of the different keyboard shortcuts on your own. Welcome back. I want to show you a way that you can actually paste information into Google Docs after you've copied it, but not have the formatting come with it. Every once in a while, you may need to actually take just the text and not the formatting. Now, this document is called Company Description. And as always, if you want to try this out with us, go to the exercise files and look for Company Description-1, and you can try it out. Now, a couple of interesting things about this document. The title up here at the top, if I come up to the toolbar and look, I will see that it has a style applied to it called title. Also, if I come down to about the 3rd paragraph of text, I'll see this also has a style applied to it. And a style is a combination of fonts and formatting that allow you to create consistent formatting throughout your document. Now, in this case, I actually want to copy all the text, but I do not want to have to bring any of the formatting with it. Well, in Google Docs, there's a way to paste in information and not bring the formatting. It's kind of like leaving the baggage at home. So we're going to use a couple of great keyboard shortcuts here as well. The first one is the Select All keyboard shortcut, which is Control A. This is a common one. It's the Select All keyboard shortcut. And then again, we're going to do Control C for copy. Those are 2 to always keep in your toolkit because you're going to use them everywhere. Now I want to open up another new blank Google Doc. So I'm going to come up to the File ribbon tab, go to New and pick Document. Now I'm in my new blank document. Now here's the tricky thing. If I just right click and paste, or if I do Control V, it will paste in the copied information, but it will include formatting. Notice if I right click, it shows me that I can paste without formatting by doing a keyboard shortcut of Control-Shift-V. So let's give it a try. On your keyboard, do Control-Shift-V. We do get the text, but notice now if I look at those 2 particular paragraphs that I already pointed out, you're going to see that they are both now just up in the toolbar, normal text. And this is what I was going for. I've also opened up a new untitled document. So if you want to keep it, you'd need to go up and give it a name. Let's do that. So right here above the file, again, drop-down menu, I see it says Untitled. I'm going to go ahead and call this Company Description without formatting. And then I'm going to hit my Enter key, and it's automatically going to be saved to my Google Drive. So just know that when you copy and paste, you do have some options to not have to bring the formatting, aka the baggage, with you when you paste it in. Thanks again for watching. Welcome back. We're ready to focus on selecting text inside of Google Docs. Now, unfortunately, we are all connected to this amazing left drag thing that we do in Google Docs. I call it a bad dance step. We highlight everything or select it by left dragging over with our mouse. And this is great, but sometimes it can be inaccurate and it also takes a lot of time. So there are some great keyboard shortcuts that can help you when it comes to selecting text. Now, a few of these you've probably used in other applications. If you come to a word and double click, it will select just that word. If you come to a paragraph, and remember that a paragraph is any text that is continual without an enter at the end of it, and you triple click 1, 2, 3, it selects that paragraph. So just 1, 2, 3. Another great one, though, that's also useful is say you're on a specific line of text and you just want to select from that line of text to the end. You can do Shift End, as in the end button that's next to page down, and it will just select from that point to the end of that specific line of text. Or you can do Shift Home, and it will actually select everything from that point to the left. Now, another one that I'm a big fan of is, let's say, for example, I need to select everything from this point up inside of my document, my Google Doc. I can do Control Shift Home. This allows me to select everything from that point forward. And remember, the home key is directly to the left of the page up button. Now I can do the exact opposite and select everything from the point where I'm clicked until the end of the document by doing Control Shift End, as in END. Notice it's selected everything from the point that I selected down in the document. And this one's pretty long, so it takes a little while to scroll up to actually show you that that's what happened. And always to deselect text, you just click. Now, as of right now in Google Docs, you cannot actually select non-adjacent blocks of text. That is one of the downsides, because in other word processing apps, you can select one chunk of text and then use your Control key to select another. But as of this point in time, Google Docs doesn't support that functionality. But one great thing you can do is select a group of text, then hold down your Shift key and continue to click. And as you click, it will extend your selection. Or if you click up where you have already extended the selection, you can actually turn it off. And this is another great way to help make, again, the use of your keyboard and mouse more useful when it comes to highlighting text. Hey, thanks for joining us. Remember, in the exercise files location or folder, there is a doc in there called Work Proposal -1. Open it up and try selecting some of the text with these different shortcuts. Hey, everybody. I'm ready to look at a way to translate an existing document into another language. We live in a world today where companies are geographically diverse. They're all over the globe. So this tool can be really helpful if you don't already have a second language in your toolkit. And it's something that I think is very useful. Google is now translating up to 100 languages with their translation tool. So it makes sense that Google Docs would do something very similar. Same company, right? So here I have this piece of information about an annual or year-end meeting for the company. I want to come in and actually translate this into a different language. So for this, what I want to do is actually come up to the Tools menu. And under the Tools menu, I'm going to come down about 5th from the bottom to Translate Document. Now, at this point, it opens up a box and it asks me, where I would like to put the new translated document, because it's going to translate the entire thing. So you'll see here, it's going to create a new document titled Copy of the Year-End Meeting File. So I'm going to go ahead and select a different language. I can actually start typing in, but you'll see here that there are many different languages that I can pick from. I'm going to pick Spanish and then click on Translate. And you'll see that in a new browser tab, it opens up my new copy, now in Spanish, of my document. Let's do it one more time. I'm going to move back to the year-end meeting again. I'm going to go to the Tools drop-down menu. I'm going to come down to Translate Document. Again, it's going to put it in a new tab. I'm going to rename it so I get a different copy. This time I'm going to do, let's say, for example, Bengali, and then I'm going to click on Translate. Now, as always, these translations can be a little bit lacking. Sometimes people will say they're quite formal in nature, but it's a lot better than trying to do it myself for sure. So we'd love you to have you try this out. So go into the exercise files folder, open up the file called Year-End Meeting -1 and give it a whirl. Hey, welcome back. I want to take a minute and focus on a really easy topic, but because we're working with a web application, it's a little bit different than if you actually have a file open in natively or desktop installed software. Remember, Google Apps is all running in a web browser and everything is saving as you go, so it's a little bit different. First of all, how do we open up a new blank file so we can start working with it. I actually have a current file open in Google Docs, but a great shortcut to get into a new file or to have a file based on a template is to actually come up here directly to the left-hand side of the file drop-down menu. You're going to see right here the Docs home button. This will take you and actually return you to the starting page for Google Docs. This is where you can search for an existing template, a file you've already worked on. You can see all these different files we've had open, or again, you can come and just go with a new blank document, and that's actually what I'm going to do. Now, when my new blank document opens, notice it's always called untitled document because I have not yet saved it. I'm actually going to paste some information into this document from an email, and then I want to go ahead and give it a name. So up here where it says untitled document, I'm going to click right there and go ahead and give this a name. I'm just going to call it travel description. Now, what's interesting is if you take note right here on the right-hand side, it tells me where this file is currently being saved. It's called My Drive. And notice if I click on it, it takes me into a list of all the different content that I have saved in this folder. This is actually saving it to my Google Docs location. My Google Drive is actually what I should say. And this is the default save location for everything to do with Google Docs. It automatically saves any of your new files there. You can create folders. In fact, down here, you'll notice the new folder button. I'm going to go ahead and click on that and create my new folder that I'm just going to call Travel Descriptions. And the thing we need to understand about Google Drive is that it is a cloud storage tool that comes with your Google account. You do have a limited amount of space that is free. And now that I've actually created the folder, I'm just going to say move here, which means my new travel description file has been moved into the travel description folder inside of my drive, which is really my own drive of Google Docs or other content inside of Google Drive. So it's a different way of working, but the benefit of having things saved in Google Drive is no matter where I go, those files are going to go with me because all I need to do to access them is have an internet connection and a web browser, log into my Google account, and all my content is there. It's really a great way to work. Cloud storage is the future, and it's here right now. Hi, I want to look at how I can open up an existing Google Docs file from my drive or my Google Drive. So for that, I'm going to come up to the File drop-down menu and come down to Open. Notice again, I could also do Control-O. It'll take me to the same place. That's not a new shortcut. Now, when I come into the Open a File dialog box for Google Docs, you'll see at the top, there are different, again, areas that I can look through. My Drive is going to be the default directory for my Google Drive. And then I have Shared with Me. These would be any files that someone else through a Google account has shared with me. Starred are going to be files that I've favorited. Then, of course, recent files that I've worked on. And then, of course, to upload something locally from my device into my Google Drive. Now, in this case, my drive is where I want to go. And then to find the file, I'm just going to scroll down and notice that I have my different folders here that I can see at the top. Also right here, I can do a search. On the right, I can actually change this view. Right now, I'm in the list view. I can actually go to a grid view where the different files are going to look like cards. And I can also change the sort order. Right now I have mine based on the last time a file was modified, but I can change that to be sorted by name. And I also prefer the list view because I find it's a little bit easier to see the names of the files. And notice they are alphabetized, but folders are always going to be above everything else. Now, once I find the item that I'm looking for, all I need to do to open it up is select it, and I can either double click or click on open, and it opens up for me right inside of Google Docs. Notice it opens in its own separate browser tab so that the other Google Docs file that I had open is also still open, so it doesn't close it. And the important thing to remember is that now that it's open, if I do come in, for example, and select text and maybe increase font size, make changes to the file, notice up here, I don't know if you just saw that, so let me make one more change. Maybe I'm going to actually change my font color, that it will say saving in the top left-hand corner, and then it will say saved to drive. And that's to let me know that everything I'm doing is saving as I go. Now, as always, we'd love to have you try this out. So open up one of the files in the exercise files location, try to make some changes to it, then see how it auto saves, and then also go in and try to open up another Google Docs file while you're in an existing file just to see how easy it is. It's going to be a little bit different than what you may be used to, but again, the ease of Google Docs is what I love about it. I think you'll get it pretty quickly. Try it out. So I want to show you this really cool trick that Google Docs does when it comes to making an exact duplicate or copy of an entire file. This is something that is really easy to do in File Explorer if you have a file saved locally on a Windows computer. But here with Google Docs, everything is stored in my Google Drive. So it makes it a little bit, different, but I can actually do it from within the Google Docs application itself. So right here, I have open a document, and in the exercise files folder, if you go in there and open up work proposal A, you can go ahead and give this a try as well. But what I want to do is make a copy of this and put it in a different folder within my Google Drive. So what I'm going to do is come up to the File drop-down menu, and about fourth from the top, I have this great option that says Make a Copy, and it's going to make an exact duplicate. In fact, when I open up the box, it says, I'm going to copy your document. So right here, I need to, of course, type in the new name. I'm just going to call it Work Proposal -B. And then I'm going to go in and see the default save location for this new copied document is my drive, which is part of my Google Drive. I can actually click right on it and it will let me see all the different locations, including a local location where I could save the file. Instead, though, next to my drive, I'm going to go in and select the folder that I have created there. Now, if you don't have a folder, let me show you how easy it is to create one. Come down here to the bottom left-hand corner, click on this little folder with a plus sign. Your new folder will come up. You can give it a name. I'm just going to call this Proposals. And once it's been created, I can go ahead and click on it. It'll be, again, selected, but to make sure that my new copied document will be placed inside of it, I'm going to click on Select again. So now I see the name of my new copied document, that it'll be in the Proposals folder, and then I can click on OK. Now it will open up the new copy in its own separate browser tab just to show me that it's there. And I can always come up here and notice I even have the opportunity to move the file to a different folder again. Or if I star it, it will add it to my starred or favorited documents when I go in to open up new files and make it easier to find. So it's a cool trick in Google Docs. Try it out. Hey everybody, this next topic is so simple to do, but we've got to talk about it because when you're working with a web application like Google Docs, sometimes people don't understand that when it's time to be done and close your documents, you don't actually have to worry about going to File and Close or clicking on a Close button in the top right-hand corner, because remember that everything is saving as we go to your cloud storage that's all part of your Google account. So when you're ready to close out of your Google Docs, all you do is go up and actually close the browser tab and you're done. Everything is saving as we go. And that's why when you go to File, there is literally no close option because everything's working in a web browser. The only thing that can impact this is the, again, speed of your internet connection. But with Google Docs, all you do to shut down is click on the X for the browser tab and everything is finished. Hey, welcome back. We want to talk about a really important feature of your Google account that is a huge part of how Google Docs works. Now, right now in Google Docs, I just have my Google Docs open like I'm ready to create a new blank Google Docs document. What we want to talk about is where your files actually get stored by default through your Google account, and also when you use Google Docs and any of the other web-based applications that are part of your Google account. It's a thing called Google Drive. Now, if you haven't used cloud storage before, there are a lot of other cloud storage tools available like OneDrive, OneDrive for Business, Dropbox, Box. There are many of them. But the great thing about Google Drive is that it's part of your Google account. Now, every Google account as of right now starts out with 15 gigabytes of free storage space that gets shared across your Google Drive, your Gmail, and your Google Photos. You can also upgrade, but it costs money. But to start with, you get those 15 gigabytes for free. Now, from inside Google Docs, you can actually see your Google Drive. What you're going to want to do is come up to the top left-hand corner where you're going to see a navigation to the main menu of Google Docs. When you click on this, it actually takes you into the main menu for your Google account, where you can actually go to some of the other software apps, including Google Sheets, Google Slides, and Google Forms. And then notice what's down here at the bottom. Good old Google Drive. When you click on this, it's going to take you into your Google Drive account. This is cloud storage, which means all your files are stored in the cloud. Now, it's interesting here when I go to my Google Drive, I'll see that it's actually allocated as my drive. That's like your default save location in your Google Drive account. Then you're going to see recent or different suggested files that you've worked on, and then the folders that you may have created. And remember that this isn't just Google Docs file types that can go in here. It's basically anything that you want to store in the cloud, from video files to photographs to Google Docs. So the great thing about cloud storage is it gives you access to your files from wherever you go, because to get to my Google Drive, all I do is log into my Google account. And not only do I have access to Google Docs, I also have access to Google Drive. So let's just, again, drive that home. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the tab for my Google Doc. I'm going to open up a new blank Google document. I'm going to go ahead and just add 3 items to it. Now I want to make sure this is saved. Notice in the top left-hand corner, it's already telling me it's been saved to my drive. I'm going to go ahead and give it a name. I'm calling it Steps. I'm going to hit Enter. Now you'll see right here that it's telling me that there's a cloud with a check mark. This means it has been saved to my Google Drive. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead now and go back to the tab where the My Drive is still open, my Google Drive. And then I'm going to go ahead and actually come in and refresh. And what I want you to see is the last thing that I just opened and was in is that Steps Google Doc. And if I click on it and reopen it again, because it'll open again in another browser tab, you can have your Google Docs open more than once. You'll see that the text I typed is there. So cloud storage is a fantastic way to keep track of stuff without having to drag USB drives or having to email yourself files. And Google Drive is definitely part of that journey, and it makes your use of Google Docs so much easier. So try it out. Hey, everybody. We're ready to look at how we can adjust our view inside of Google Docs. And again, it's fairly simple. So first of all, remember that you are in a web browser. So it's super easy to hold down your control key if you're on a Windows computer and use your scroll bar mouse wheel to help you, zoom in and out. But as far as inside the application itself, first of all, on the toolbar, about 6th button in from the left, you have a zoom menu. This gives you the ability to zoom in and out based on about 50 to 200%. That will get me a lot close and personal. Also, there is an option at the very top called Fit. This is basically set up to make it readable and easy for you to see. But the default is always to have it at 100% when you first open Google Docs. The menu that helps to manage all this is the View drop-down menu. So if you come up into those drop-down menus and go to View, you'll see that a couple of options you have. One of them is to do things like turn on and off the ruler. So notice if I turn the ruler off, there's a lot less to see both vertically and horizontally within the window. Also, I can come in as well to the View drop-down menu. We'll turn the ruler back on. And at the very top, you'll see that right now I'm in what's called Print Layout mode. This is made to help me see the sides of the page. When I turn it off, it just basically turns off a few of the options on the sides, but it's going to still look very similar to the mode that we've been in, where I can see, for example, where the page starts and ends as far as printing. Now, I also have a full screen option when I go to that View drop-down ribbon. This is also super common. When you go to full screen mode, you'll notice that all the toolbars and the drop-down menus at the top disappear, which is kind of nice. Notice here in the top left-hand corner, I can also turn on what's called my work outline, which lets you see different styles that are in the document. Now, to get out of this full screen view, you can hit the escape button on your keyboard. That will take you out. but it's nice because it's kind of a fast way to see, again, the document without a lot of the extra stuff at the top and bottom. Now on a Windows PC, if you hit F11, it will actually take away the URL bar at the top of your browser. And this is kind of nice too, to make it look more like you're working inside of a software application that's installed locally on your device. And then if you hit F11 again, it will take it back so that you know you're working in a web app. Now remember that also under the View drop-down menu, you're going to have a couple of other options like seeing an equation toolbar and even section breaks. These are again ways to help you more fully format your Google Doc. But again, just remember, View drop-down menu, and then you've got your zoom in and zoom out using the little item on the toolbar. So try it out. The document we have open right now is called Work Proposal Updated. If you go to the Exercise Files folder, open up Work Proposal Updated -A and try it out on your own. Hey, welcome back. I want to look at how I can add some headers and footers to a document in Google Docs. Now remember that headers, of course, go over the top of the text in your file, and footers, of course, as the name implies, are always at the bottom. Well, first of all, let's get a file open. Right now I have Company Announcement open. If you go to the Exercise Files folder, you can open up Company Announcement -A and add some headers and footers to it. It's in the Exercise Files. To locate the header and footers options in Google Docs, you want to go up to the Insert drop-down menu and come towards the bottom. You'll see here that it gives you two options, one to add a header and one to add a footer. So let's start with the header. It's very common to put things like names of the company, page numbers, dates, department names inside of headers. And you'll see very similar to other word processing applications, my header is here. And if I hit tab, it just allows me to move over from, again, the left side of the page to the right. If I do shift tab, it's going to continue to take me over. So I can use my arrow key to get back up and over to where I was. So right here, I'm just going to go ahead and type in, again, the name of the company. And then if I keep hitting tab, I can tab over to the right, and I could, for example, put in the department. And of course, I need to remember that my name of, again, the information I put up here will all print. Now, notice that my header area has opened up. If I want to go down to my footer, I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom of the page, and you'll see it's just showing me a header right now because I haven't yet turned the footer on. So to turn my footer on, I'm actually going to go back up to the Insert drop-down menu again and come back down to Headers and Footers and select Footer. Now this opens up an area at the bottom of each page for my footer. Now in here, I'd like to put a page number. So this one requires me to go back up to the Insert drop-down menu again, and under Headers and Footers, you'll see that you have page numbers. In this box, it will show you that there are a few different options. You can have page numbers that appear at the, again, top in the header, or not on the first page, or vice versa, down on the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and do mine on the bottom. And you'll notice that they're getting put in on the first page, and also if I scroll down to the second page. So remember, when it comes to inserting your headers and footers, you're going to want to go up to the Insert drop-down menu and then select Header and then select Footer to get that information in there. And again, we want you to try it out. So go for it. Open up a Google Doc and try putting in some headers and footers. Hey, welcome back. I want to take a Google Doc that has a header and footer in it and make some adjustments. So first of all, notice that I do have a header right here at the top of my first page. And then if I scroll down to the bottom, I'll see I just have something as simple as a page number. Now, the first thing I would like to be able to do is actually open up my footer and actually put in a date next to this page number over on the right. So in order to do that, I'm going to come up to the Insert ribbon tab again and come down to Headers and Footers towards the bottom and select Footer. You'll notice this highlights the bottom so that I can actually get into my footer area of my page. Normally, if I'm not in that footer area, I can click away from it. It will turn off. But if I come down here and actually click, by double clicking on the footer, it will open up. So that's actually a shorter way than having to go up to the Insert ribbon. But notice either one of them will do it. Now to add a page number, I'm actually going to tab over to the right until I get my mouse cursor blinking over on the right-hand side, but not so far that I add a new line. Then I'm going to come up to the Insert ribbon tab and notice that towards the top, I actually have an option to insert the current date. You'll notice this allows me to pick from my computer's calendar so that I can actually put a date in. If I've gone too far, I may need to hit my backspace key to get it back up so that it's not on a whole new line. So that's one thing that's a little bit more manual. When it comes to formatting your headers and footers, you're going to do that like normal. So for example, if I want my page number or my date to be in bold, I'll highlight them, and then I can do Control B on my keyboard, for example, and that will change their color. Now, if I want to edit my header, I'm going to come up here to the top again, and I'm going to double click where my header is located. And notice the header area will open up. Now, there are a few special options that you have when it comes to adjusting your headers and footers. Notice over here on the right, when I'm in my header, I actually have an options box that's popped up. When I click here, you'll notice that I can do different things like impact my header format, change my page numbering if there are any page numbers in here, or remove the header out of the document. Let's check out the header format. This lets me decide how close to the top of the page my header is located and also my footer. Then additionally, notice that it's very common to have a different first page header. So maybe the header is different or it doesn't exist in the document. Or you can set up different headers and footers for even pages and odd pages. So say, for example, I want my top margin to actually be 1 inch for the header. I can apply that and you'll notice it moves it down. And additionally, if I want to just remove the header out of the document completely, I can click here and come in and say remove header. This takes the header out, but notice my footer still exists. So as always, we'd love to have you try this out. Go into the exercise files folder and open up company announcement-header and footer-A and try editing the header and footer that are located in that Google Doc. Hey everybody, I want to be able to adjust the headers and footers of my Google Doc. So inside many word processing applications, including Google Documents, it's very common for the margins on your page to by default be 1 inch. In fact, look at the ruler here. Notice how, again, my actual page or printed area begins at the 1 inch mark. Keep in mind, if you have headers and footers, they will usually be within 1/4 to 1/2 inch from the edge of the page. And you can see here again how on the bottom, same thing. And if I look up here at the left and right, we can see that 1 inch coming into play. And again, most common page size is 8.5 by 11. Think about how many things we print are in 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper. Now, to get into the area where you adjust margins, we're going to go up to the File ribbon tab, come almost all the way down to the bottom to Page Setup. This is going to open up the Page Setup dialog or window. Now, notice first of all right here, this is pretty cool. You can pick whether you apply the changes to a specific section or the whole document. Also, notice here that I can change to landscape. Let's try that out and see what that does. So now both my pages are set to print landscape or view landscape. You can see how different that looks. Let's go back to the File again, drop-down menu, and come to Page Setup and actually look at our margins. I want to change my margins from 1 inch, like we've already looked at, to 1/2 inch. So I'm actually just going to type in 0.5 in each one of these measurement areas. And notice over here on the left, it lets me see the different sizes of paper that I can do. And again, I can do things like legal if I need to, or even in an executive size paper, but the default is always 8.5 by 11. I can also make this different, change my default. This would override the default of always having 1 inch be your page size. And then I'm going to click on OK. So I'm going to now see that, again, the print is now moving closer to the edges of the page. This is going to allow me to fit more on the page, as you can see here. And again, I'm now seeing how my changes have taken effect. To change it back, I would go back to File and back down to Page Setup again. And then I could adjust everything back. For example, now I want to go back to a portrait orientation. So when I click on OK, I can still see my 1/2 inch margins on the top, bottom, left, and right. But I am back to being, again, that 8.5 by 11 and portrait for my orientation. As always, we want you to try this out. So go into the exercise files folder, open up company margins-A, and try setting up some different margins in your Google Doc. Hey everybody, I want to put some columns into one of my Google Docs. Columns can be a great way to help really put together sections and also make a document look more visually exciting. So what I want to do is come into this document. It's called Destination Overview. In your exercise files folder, there's also a document just like this one called Destination Overview-A. We'd love to have you try this out with. Now, first of all, I'm going to highlight the text that I would like to apply the columns to. For this, I'm going to come in and just, of course, left drag over the text. And then I'm actually going to come up to the Format drop-down menu and come to Columns. And you'll see that I'm already at one column, but I'd actually like to do 2 or 3 are the defaults that I can pick from. I'm going to select 2, and notice how it automatically takes the text and puts it into 2 columns. But what's really great here is that the rest of the text stays 1 column. I want to continue to go down to the other sections and do the same thing. Highlight the text, go back up to that Format drop-down menu, come to Columns, and pick 2. Now, what if I want to get really exciting and I'd like to do 3 columns? So with this final one, I'm going to highlight the last section in the document, everything below the North Shore Travel ranked as top travel agency section. I'm going to go up to the Format drop-down menu and come down to Columns. And this time I'm going to do 3. I know we're getting pretty exciting here. And I'll actually put the heading down on the top of the next page just so you can see what that looks like. But again, everything else does not adjust. Now, how would I undo that? Or say, how would I go from 3 to 2 columns? Well, of course, I could click on my undo button, or I can highlight again the paragraphs that I applied the columns to. I can come back up here to Format, and I can automatically just switch it by selecting 2 columns instead of 3. And that will automatically update it. But what if I'd also like to impact the format of my columns? For this, I'm going to go back up to the top section. I'm again going to highlight the paragraphs where I applied my columns, go back up to the Format drop-down menu, come to Columns, and notice that under the bottom of the default options, I have a More options. This will actually take me into a simple dialog or window that controls my Google Docs column options. First of all, notice I can pick how many columns I have. I can also add a line between the columns. And then right here, let's say I want less space between my columns. So instead of a 1/2 inch, I'm going to go to a 1/4 inch or 0.25. I'm going to apply that. Now I can actually see what it looks like. And notice this looks pretty good. So again, if I want to copy that down to my other columns, if I'm going to be doing it through the Format drop-down menu, I'm just going to reselect the text, go back up to Format, go to Columns, go down to More options. Notice right here, I'm just going to continue to say, hey, I want 2 columns. I want a line between them, and I'm going to put it a 1/4 inch. You can see here how it's applied that. And I could continue to do that to the bottom as well. But just remember, columns are a great way to add visual appeal to a document and also make it easier for, again, someone who's reading it to keep certain types of information together. We'd love to have you try it out. So go to the exercise files folder, open up Destination Overview-A, and give it a whirl. Hi, welcome back. We want to take a Google Doc and be able to put a column break in that Google Doc wherever we'd like. So right now I have a Google Doc open that has some columns in it. It's called Destination Columns. And I want to be able to adjust where some of these columns are breaking apart. Maybe because I don't want 2 columns, for example, to be broken across multiple columns or pages. So to do this, obviously you need a document that has columns in it, and then you need to select where you want your column break to occur. So for example, right here, I'd actually like the column break to happen so that this particular paragraph is not getting cut across columns. To do this, I'm going to come up to the Format ribbon. And you'll notice if I come down to columns, this will give me the ability to change it back from 2 columns to 1, but that's actually not what I want. I want a column break. So clicking back again where I want my column break to go, I'm actually going to come up to the Insert drop-down menu and come down to Break. It's important, though, that you pick the correct type of break. I want a column break. What you'll see this will do is it will just, instead of putting in, for example, a page break, it's now put in a column break so that this particular paragraph doesn't get cut across columns. So let's try that one more time. I want to take this paragraph right here and I want to put it at the top of the next column. So I'm going to go back up to Insert, come down to Break, and then select Column Break. And again, you can see how it's just, again, putting those particular columns so that they are not being broken across the column breaks that are already there. Now, if I've put in a column break and I want to undo it, I can always click at the top of one column, hit my backspace key, and notice that will allow me to actually undo a column break. But the steps to put the column break in are going to actually just be click where you want the column break to go up to the Insert drop-down menu, come down to Break, and pick Column Break. You'll notice that's what will allow you to have those columns be broken across so that you are determining where that's happening and not just good old Google Docs. We want you to try this out. So go into the exercise files folder, look for destination columns-A, open it up. It has columns in it, and play with adjusting and putting in some column breaks of your own. Hey everybody, I want to add some page breaks to my Google Doc. So I have a Google Doc open, and normally page breaks are going to occur wherever Google Docs needs to add them. In fact, you can see here that sometimes they're kind of awkward. For example, this heading here is separated from its columns by a page break that I didn't put in, Google Docs did. So to help again adjust it and make it so it's not so awkward, we want to put some page breaks in of our own. So the first step is to actually click in front of the text that you would like to have put down on the next page. Then I'm going to come up to the Insert drop-down menu and come down to Break. Notice how many different kinds of breaks there are. You've got page breaks, column breaks, and section breaks. So all we're going to do here is select or left click on Page Break. Notice everything gets pushed down to the next page, and this way my heading and my paragraphs or my columns aren't getting separated. Now, another great way to do this is to click in front of the text, and rather than having to go up to the Insert drop-down menu, on my keyboard, I can hit Shift and Enter. This is a PC keyboard shortcut, and it automatically puts in a page break for me. So you can either insert your page breaks or you can do the Control-Enter keyboard shortcut. Now, here's the next big question. How do you remove a page break if you put one in? Well, you're going to go back and click again in front of the text that you want to have be up on the previous page, and then hit your backspace key, and it will automatically remove the page break out. But I love the Control-Enter keyboard shortcut to put in a page break where you want it to go, because it's a really fast way to help make sure that you can separate those page breaks the way you would like them to be separated. Now, as always, we'd love to have you try this out. So go into the exercise files folder and look for the Google Doc called Page Breaks-A. Open it up and try putting in some page breaks of your own. Hey everybody, welcome back. I want to look at a really simple thing, but it's important, and that's being able to increase and decrease indent within Google Docs. So for this, I just have any Google Docs document open. I'm going to come in and click by the paragraph that I would like to increase the indent for. And then I'm going to come up to my toolbar. And on the right-hand side, almost towards the very far right, you're going to see a decrease indent button and an increase indent button. They both have arrows with lines next to them. Now the increase indent, as you can see here, will in increments of 1/2 inch increase the indent for that one paragraph. The decrease indent does it exactly the opposite. It undoes the increase. Now, you can actually select multiple paragraphs and then click on, for example, the increase indent, and you'll notice that it will increase all of those paragraphs together. So you can actually go through an entire document and just use this to help nudge over multiple paragraphs all at the same time, just knowing that the default is for it to be 1/2 inch. Now remember, if you look up at your ruler, you can see again how it's moving over both the first line indent and also underneath. You have that left indent that we've talked about in previous sessions. This is just, again, another option is, again, to just drag this over, and you can actually also use this as a way to increase the indent for specific lines. Remembering that the bar is for the first line in a paragraph, and of course, the upside down triangle is going to be for all additional lines. These three are all separate paragraphs. And then again, I could use the decrease indent to bump everything back over again. Remembering though that now that's my default. So if I want them to bump all the way back over to the left, I need to drag them back. Again, we want you to try this out. So open up any document in Google Docs that's in the exercise files folder and try using increase indent and decrease indent to again impact how those paragraphs and lines look. Hey everybody, let's explore adding tab stops to Google Docs. Now, first of all, why tab stops? Tab stops give you a lot more control over the horizontal placement of text in a document. Now, by default, we've already seen that tabs are done in half-inch increments horizontally, but we also know that we can add personalized tab stops ourselves by adding them to the ruler. So you can change that half-inch default. Also, you can have more than one tab stop on a line. Now, there are three kinds of tab stops. There's the left tab stop that aligns text at the tab stop to the left, center that centers text around the tab stop, and then right tab stop. Now, for any of these, you need to have your ruler turned on. So let's first of all make sure that's in place. Up here, I'm going to go to the View drop-down menu and just make sure there's a check mark next to my Show Ruler option. If I click on that ruler, it's going to turn it off. So make sure you keep the check mark next to it because you need your ruler turned on for this to work. Additionally, remember that we have our first line indent marker and also our left indent that already represents where our paragraphs are going to begin. Now, I have the file called Agent Meeting Schedule open. Remember, in your exercise files folder, if you go in there and you find Agent Meeting Schedule-A, it'll give you the same file so that you can try this out as well. I'm going to come down to this set of, again, separate lines that are really paragraphs because there's an enter at the end of each line, and select those. Now, for me to create a tab stop at the 1 1/2 inch mark, I'm going to come up to the ruler and actually left click on it. This is pretty cool because you'll actually see the three types of tab stops I already mentioned. The add left tab stop, add center, and add right. I'm just going to left click on the add left tab stop option. And notice that in my ruler, I get an arrow that points to the left, indicate this is a left tab stop. Now, while those three lines are still selected, I'm just going to go ahead and hit my tab. You'll notice that eventually it's going to get me over to the tab stop I just created. Also, it does move my, again, first line indent because these are all single lines. Now we're going to come down and do a centered tab stop. So to the next set of three separate lines, I'm going to highlight them. And this time I'm going to go to the 3 inch mark and I'm actually going to click again on the ruler and select add a center tab stop. Now notice for my center tab stop, it's a diamond. So you can see that each tab stop has a different look. So you know the type that it is. Then I'm going to hit the enter button until again, I see my text get to that centered tab stop. And you can see how once I get it there, it's centering at that point where the tab stop is. Again, notice what it's doing to the first line indent because these are also the first lines. Now, what does a right tab stop look like? Well, I'm going to scroll down a little bit more and highlight again the next set of three separate lines. And this time I'm going to come over to about the 5 inch mark and click on the ruler and do an add right tab stop. A right tab stop looks like an arrow pointing to the left, just like you can see here. Then I'm again going to hit my tab button until I get that set of text over by that tab stop. You can see what happens here is I'm getting again the right align tab stop. And so now we've explored the three different ones. So again, we want you to try this out. So go to the exercise files folder, open up one of the files and try adding some tab stops of your own. Hey everybody, welcome back. What if you have a document that does have tab stops in it and you need to get rid of those tab stops? First of all, let's just remember what tab stops look like inside of a document. I'm actually going to come up and just zoom out a little bit on this doc to make it a little bit easier to see where tab stops are located. First of all, you're only going to see tab stops indicated on your horizontal ruler. So make sure your ruler is on up here and then go to the paragraphs where you'd like to try to see where your tab stops are. Highlight the paragraphs, and actually right up here, I can see a tab stop lurking behind my left and first line indent marker. If I come to it, I can actually left drag it. I don't know if you just saw that, and remove it from my ruler. And by doing this, it's going to allow me now to just rely again on my first line indent and then also my left indent to just move those things over however I'd like them. Keeping in mind that if I take the bar too far, it's going to actually move it off the page. Same thing down here. Remember, this is a centered tab stop. On this one, I'm going to see a diamond. I can left drag it off. It doesn't take the text back, but then I can actually drag both my first line indent and my left line indent back over to the far left, and it will undo the existing tab stop. Same right here with my right facing tab stop. it's going to look like, and you can't see it very well because again, those are covering it up. But if I move them over a little bit, you can see it. I'll left drag it off. And then again, I can come right here to my left tab stop, my left indent, and just drag it back over to the far left and undo it. So you're literally removing them from the ruler by left dragging them off. We want you to try this out. So in the exercise files folder, go in and open up agent meeting tab stops remove -A. Practice taking them out so that you can see how easy it is. Welcome back. We're ready to talk about spell check and proofing tools. Now, there are different ways to go about this. Right now, I have a Google Doc open called Seminar Schedule, and if you're itching at all the spelling mistakes and grammatical errors inside of it, that's on purpose. So first of all, let's talk about where you can go to activate the proofing tools. On your toolbar, you're going to see a capital letter A in the top left-hand corner with a check mark. This is going to be your shortcut to open up your spelling and grammar check. But before we actually initiate one, I want to talk about just the AutoCorrect that's turned on. You're going to see throughout my Google Doc that I have some red underlines and some blue underlines, and this is where the spell and the AutoCorrect for grammar are turned on automatically. So how do I do these? Well, first of all, if you hover over the top of any of these red or blue underlines and right-click, you'll see that you automatically get options to help fix this. In this case, it's trying to do an update to the spelling. Notice it can even give me, again, feedback on the suggestion, or down here, you notice that it will always correct it, or I can add that misspelled word to my dictionary. Scary, but yes, that's an option. Or initiate a full-blown spelling and grammar check. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and just update it to the one word. Now, if I come down here to the blue, same thing, I'm going to right-click. Notice if I left-click, it just gives me a quick answer. You'll notice right here that it's actually corrected the grammar in this case. So it's helping me not only with my spelling, but with my grammar too. Now, if I initiate something to help me with the proofing tools, I can come up here and use the capital letter A check mark button. That will open up my spelling and grammar check. Or up in the ribbon, I shouldn't say ribbon, but the drop-down menus, I can go to Tools, and you'll see that spelling and grammar are at the top. Notice here it's turned on right now with check marks to show both spelling suggestions and grammar suggestions. If I uncheck either of these, those auto spelling and grammar corrections will turn off. Now, to initiate the spelling and grammar check, I'm going to click here, and now it's going to take me word for word through the document. And notice I can either accept, or I can come to a word and I can ignore it, right? And this is just going to take me through the entire document until it has fixed all of my spelling and grammar errors. Notice right here on the corner that I have more options, and you'll see here how it's telling me how many times it's found this or I've ignored this in the document, or giving me an option to add it to my dictionary. But again, this is really going just like spell check, going through the document to help me fix and both do spelling and grammar errors at the same time until it gets back to the very beginning. Now, this one, I probably want to ignore, right? And once it's done, it tells me. Now, as always, we'd love to have you try this out. So go into the exercise files, open up Seminar Schedule-A, and try out doing both a spelling and grammar check on your own. Welcome back, everybody. I want to talk about a pretty cool feature inside of Google Docs, and it's this idea that you can create your own dictionary. It's called the Personal Dictionary. This is an addition to the dictionary that comes with Google Docs. Now, for example, if I come in and I select a word, I can actually right-click on that word, and you'll notice here that it will allow me to open up the Webster version of the dictionary. I'm teasing with that, but this is like a traditional dictionary where if I click on Define, it'll actually open that dictionary up. This is not the dictionary I'm talking about, but yes, it is very useful, and I can close this. What I'm talking about is a dictionary of words that you create that follows your Google account, and it's pretty cool because you can basically create your own dictionary of words that you might use. So for example, we can see in this document that's called Personal Dictionary, by the way, and as always, you can go into the exercise files folder and open up Personal Dictionary-A and try this out. Then I have a couple of misspelled words. You can see that if I come to any of these words and left click, it gives me options to just update the word immediately, ignore it, or I can come right here to more options, and this will take me to my spelling and grammar check, which is where I want to go. Because from here, I can see again that it's already telling me it will fix this word. I can ignore it or accept it. But notice right here, if I click on these 3 dots, that it will actually take me to my personal dictionary and let me see it, where the misspelled word will be added for me. But this is a list of the different words that I've already added to my personal dictionary. I'm going to go ahead at this point and fix the word that's suggested for me. And now I'm going to come down to my next one. With this one, I'm going to right-click. Now, by right-clicking, you'll notice again that it means, is this the word that you want? Or what I can do is correct it. But now what I want to do is I'm actually going to highlight it with my mouse, and then I'm going to right-click on it again. And notice again, now it's saying, hey, you can go ahead and define this. You can explore it. But notice also, if I want to, I can actually select the word, copy it, and then actually go up to my spell check button. I can come in and notice how it's taking me through the spell check, telling me that everything's great. But if I go back again and come to it, this time I'm actually going to come down to the options and go to my personal dictionary. I can paste that word in. You'll notice I already added it, but if I add it again, it's already here, but if I'd added it again, it would add it in so that I can use it in the future. And this means that if I ever do need to use this word in a document, it'll be here and it will follow me wherever I go. Now, as always, we wanted to try this out. So open up a Google Doc or open up Personal Dictionary-A from, again, the exercise files folder and try to add some words to the personal dictionary that you might want to use in the future. Welcome back, everybody. I want to look at how I can control some of those autocorrect options that we've been exploring inside of Google Docs. There is actually an area inside of the application where you can look at the settings and also change them. So for that, I just have any document open in Google Docs, and I'm actually going to come up to the Tools menu, to the Tools drop-down menu, and almost all the way down to the very bottom is Preferences. This is where you go to see what the preferences for your autocorrect are, and also for the autocorrect words that are in your autocorrect dictionary. So if you notice here, we see check marks next to everything that's going to be auto-detect. For example, it will automatically capitalize words that it thinks should be automatically capitalized. And we know that the spell check is automatically turned on. Now, next to that, you'll see that we have substitutions. If I come here, I'm going to see where I can type one thing and it will replace another. For example, if I type the word about, I can actually have it be corrected with the word about like this. And notice I can actually add it into the dictionary. So once it's been added into my autocorrect or what's called substitutions, if I come into the document and I type in the word about, A-B-B-O-U-T, and then I hit enter, you'll notice it's automatically been fixed and capitalized. So you can actually make your own additions to the autocorrect dictionary. Again, you can also take them out. So if I go back up to Tools again, come back down to Preferences, and again, go to that Substitutions tab, and I just start typing in the A-B-B-O-U-T, it'll actually take me to where that is in my dictionary. Notice it's just found it. And I can actually remove any of these that are in my autocorrect dictionary just by clicking on this X on the side. That will remove them out. And this is a way that you can, again, create fast ways to add words that you type a lot in, or again, customize the autocorrect with options that are more helpful for you. We'd love to have you try it out. So open up even a new blank document and check those options out under the Tools drop-down menu. Howdy, everybody. Welcome back. I want to look at how you can find and replace text inside of Google Docs. Now, first of all, the Find and Replace menu, or actually the Find menu, is right here under the Edit drop-down menu. You'll see if you go all the way to the bottom, you have Find and Replace. This will open up the Find and Replace box. There's also some great shortcuts for Find and Replace. If I just do Control F, as in Control Find on my keyboard, you'll see that it automatically opens up the Find box. And then see this vertical ellipses on the right-hand side? If I click on this, it will take me to the Find and Replace box. The other way to get directly to the Find and Replace is to do Control H. That will also open up the box. Now let's just explore Find first. I'm going to do Control F again. I need to find anywhere where the word tour has been used in my document. It's super great because the minute you type it in, notice it's already telling you how many times that word is in the document, and it highlights them really quickly. And you can quickly jump to each one. Notice how they're a little bit darker in color as you arrow to them, and it automatically takes you to them, I should say. And notice even up here where I have the word tours, it still selects the word, even if it's just a part of a word. Now, let's say that I want to change the word tour to field trip. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually come to the vertical ellipses, click on it, and it's going to open up the Find and Replace box. Right here, I'm going to go ahead and, again, change it to the word that I would like. Now below, notice that I have options to match case on this. That would mean, is it uppercase or lowercase? And then also, do I want to match regular expressions? Now to get it to start looking, I can actually click on Next. This will find the first word. And I know it's kind of hard to see back here, but you can actually left drag the box out of the way. You're going to see that it's this one that's actually selected. To just do a single replace, I'm going to click on Replace, and just that one word will get replaced. And notice I could just go through the document word by word. If I'm in a hurry and I just want to replace all of them, I can say Replace All, and it replaces all of them until they're totally, again, updated. So this is a really powerful, fast way to fix any type of, for example, misspelling of a word that's not in the dictionary, or to update wording. And it's something that's not new, but super useful. We'd love to have you try this out. So open up Seminar Replace-A from the exercise files folder and try doing a Find and Replace within it. Welcome back. I want to look at how I can create a new Google Doc based on one of the Google templates. Now, just a review on what a template is, it's basically like a stamp for a Google Doc. Something like, for example, a letter or a resume, where they give you the basic format and then you customize it with your own information. There are templates within the Google account that you can access. To get to them, we need to go to your main screen for Google Docs. To do that, I'm going to come to the top left-hand corner. Notice right now I just have an untitled Google Doc open, and go to my Docs homepage. And you'll see here that not only do I see the blank Google Doc that we've used so much, but also some of the other templates that are in here, everything from resumes to even a project proposal. And as I come down, I'll even see some documents that I've recently opened. Notice right here that I also can actually come in and see a list view, but at the top, this is the template gallery. This is actually what I want to look at. And you'll notice here that I can actually sort through these and actually see the template library right here and go down. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Spearmint Letter template and double click on it. This will actually open it up and allow me to base my new file on the template that's provided by, in this case, Google Docs. Now, where does it save? It's just called Letter, and it's automatically going to be saved to my, again, Google Drive. I can rename it by just coming up here. I'm going to type in a letter-A, and it will automatically save it to my Google Drive. And then all I have to do is come in and start typing in my information over the top. You can see that as I do this, it just replaces the text with my own information. And again, if you look at it, you'll see that in the middle, it's the gobbledygook that it creates here. So you will definitely need to put in your own information over the top. But now I've created a new Google Doc based on a template. Again, we'd love to have you try this out. So go in and open up, again, a new Google Doc based on one of Google's templates. Hey everybody, welcome back. I want to show you a quick trick when you do have an existing Google template that you use a lot and you're just in a blank document. This is just a fast way to get another new Google Doc based on a specific template. So up here, I'm actually going to come to File, like I would if I was saving or even printing the document I currently have open. And then I'm going to come down to New and notice that I can create a new blank document, or I can actually select to have my Google Doc based on a template. So I'm going to pick from template. It brings me into the template gallery where I can select the template I want to use. And now my new document, once it opens up, will be based on that template. Again, remember, it'll have the same name as the Google template, so I'll need to customize that if I want. And it's not a template, it's just, again, a normal Google Doc. But this is a good way to jumpstart starting a new document out in Google Docs if you know it's going to be based on an existing template. Love to have you try it out. So just open up a new blank, again, Google Doc, and then go into File, come into New, but select from Template, and then pick one of those templates and have your new Google Doc be based on that. Hi, everybody. I want to print one of my Google Docs. Again, very simple to do. Just want to make sure you have the correct file open. So I have my business proposal file open. Remember, in the exercise files folder, if you want to try it out with this same document, go to business proposal-A in the exercise files. Now from here, notice I do have a print shortcut button in my, again, toolbar that I can click on that will take me to, again, my print preview and my print box. I can also do Control P on my keyboard. This is a really common shortcut to do print. And if you want the long way around the block, you can go to File and then down to Print. And sometimes you have to scroll down just a little bit to see it because it's clear at the bottom. Now, these all take you to your print dialog box, and it's very simple. You'll notice here in the bottom left that you do have the ability to kind of fit it so that you see the page up close. There's also a zoom in and a zoom out that really let you zoom in and zoom out, but it's very simple. And if there's more than one page, you're going to need to scroll down to see those additional pages. Also, if you look up here, you can actually save it to a PDF or to your printer. You can pick which pages will print. If I do custom, notice here, I can actually say just page 1. I can also decide if it's going to print in black and white or color. And then notice under here, I have more settings, including the page size, how many sheets will print per page. Notice this would allow me to print more than one per page, and also the scaling of the document. So do I want to fit it to the paper? In this case, it is already on 8.5 by 11. But you can see how these will probably be determined partially by your printer. Also right here, you'll see that you do have a print using the system dialog options. But again, fairly simple in how it prints, and part of these options will depend on what you're printing to. But as soon as you hit print, it's going to print and be ready to go on your way. So we'd love to have you try this out. Open up Business Proposal-A out of the exercise files and try to go into the print dialog box and practice using some of the options. And if you really don't print it, that's okay, but at least we want you to try it out and see how easy it is to print something from Google Docs. Hey everybody, I need to send an email for my Google Doc. Is there a way to do that quickly without having to open up Outlook or Gmail and send it through one of the email applications? Well, good news is there is a way to do it. So open up any Google Doc. I have my business proposal file open here, and I'm going to come up here to the File ribbon tab, click on it, and I'm going to come down to Email. You'll notice right here that I have an option that says Email this file. When I click on this option, it's going to take me into the email box. And notice at the top, I can send this file to myself. This will give me a copy of it. Then I'm going to type in, again, the email address. It has to be the real thing that I want to send it to. I type in again, and it will recognize it if it's real. The subject line is the title of my file, and then a message. Now notice down here, I get to pick the file type. Am I going to be sending it as a PDF, as a Word doc, maybe as an open document? These are all common, again, formats. I'm going to go ahead and send this as a Microsoft Word doc. Notice in this case, I can either include it in the email or I can keep it as an attachment. I want it to be an attachment, so I'm not going to check this box off. And then I'm going to click on send. So this will make sure that it's sent as an attachment and it will send me a copy as well. And again, I'm emailing it directly from Google Docs, so I don't have to take the time to open up my email application and then attach it that way, because that can take forever. So try it out. Open up any Google Doc, go to File, click on Email, and try emailing that file even to yourself, just so you can see how easy it is to do with inside the application. Hello, everybody. What if you have a Google Doc that you need to make available to a large audience so that everybody can see it and you can control the updates as they're released to the public? Well, a great way to do this is to publish your Google Doc. This works the same way in Google Sheets and also Slides, but it's a great way to not have to email the file to people or share it with them. You're just publishing it, basically making it into a website. To do this, we're going to have the file open. So in this case, I have my business proposal file open. And remember, you can go to the exercise files and open up business proposal-A and try this out. Now for the publish option, we're going to go to the file drop-down menu and come down, and you'll notice as you go down in the menu towards the bottom, you have an option that says publish to the web. When you do this, you'll notice here that it allows you to pick again, if you're creating a link to the document or if you're going to embed it, you can pick either one. I'm going to do the link. Notice down here, you also have the settings for how it will be published. You'll notice that when changes are made, it will automatically update it so that people can see those changes, but they will not be able to change it themselves. They'll just be able to see it. Then I'm going to click on Start Publishing. You'll see here, it tells me that my document is going to be published. Notice right here how it creates this link, and it's even giving me links where I could share it with someone through either Facebook, Twitter, or Gmail. I'm going to go ahead and click, for example, on Gmail, and you'll notice it actually is going to take me in, open up my Gmail here, and give me that link inside of it that I could then email to someone. Notice now that it's been published, I can actually take this link, and all I have to do is select it and then do Control-C to copy it. If I come in, I can click on it, paste it in, and it will actually take people to the document. But notice it's not going to be one that they can update. It's just one that they can see. So it's a great way to share content with people, but it's not content they can edit. I'm going to close that. And notice if I come back into the document, I can close this publish to web box. But if I ever need to get back into those settings again, I can go to File, down to Publish to Web. It takes me back into that same box where I created the publishing in the first place. And if I decide that I want to disable the publishing, I can say Stop Publishing. Notice this will tell me again, I'm going to stop making this document available for others to view through that link. I'm basically turning it off, and now it will not be published anymore. Fantastic way to share a Google Doc with a wide audience. Check it out. Go into your own Google Doc and try to publish it. Hey everybody, we really appreciate you joining us for this journey in learning as a beginner how to use Google Docs. We've also explored Google Drive and all the great features that this really simple but very powerful web application can offer. As always, we'd love to have you try everything out, so don't forget to check out the exercise files and try using Google Docs on your own. You're going to be amazed at how easy it is. Hey everyone, welcome to our advanced course for Google Docs. My name is Elissa Smith. I've been a software applications trainer for over 20 years. I'm super excited to be guiding you on this journey into advanced features of Google Docs. Now in this course, we're going to explore some great features like how to create and format tables. We're also going to look at text styles and how you can create your own text styles, along with bringing images into Google Docs and other advanced features like being able to bring in data charts and even create more advanced documents that have things like bookmarks and even footnotes in them. So join us. Hey everyone, we are ready to create some tables inside of Google Docs. So I'm going to come up and actually create a new blank Google Doc just by clicking, of course, the blank button. This takes me into a new blank Google Doc, and I want to add a table at the very top. So I'm going to come up to the Insert drop-down menu, Table is the second item down. Now, what I'm going to do is actually take my mouse on the secondary menu and run it over the number of columns and then down to the number of rows that I want. I want my table to be 3 columns wide by 3 rows down, so that's what I've done. You can do tables up to 20 by 20, so basically 20 rows down, 20 columns over. It's pretty large. As soon as I click, I will see my table get put into my Google Doc. Now let's take a minute and talk about how you move in a table. Well, first of all, we can use the tried and true click. This will move your cursor to the cell that you click in. But you can also use some great keyboard tools as well. The tab button is great for moving from, again, one cell to the next. It'll move you horizontally over. And then you can use Shift Tab to move yourself back. You can always use the arrow keys to move you up and down, left and right. Now, to select an entire row, for example, you're going to bring your mouse pointer over on the left-hand side and just left drag over it, and that will select that particular row. Columns work the same way. You're going to rest your mouse pointer over the top of the column and drag down. You just have to be careful because it also likes to select the entire table, as you can see here. So sometimes it helps to bring your mouse pointer kind of down into the first cell of the table and then drag down. Now, what about some shortcuts for adding like a new row at the bottom of a table? If you go to the last cell of your table and hit the tab button, this is a great shortcut for adding additional rows. So now my table is 4 by 4. And you know, a lot of the table tools that you may have used in other word processing applications like Microsoft Word, they work in similar ways inside of Google Docs. So again, we'd love to have you try it out. Open up a new blank Google Doc and try creating your own table by going up to that Insert drop-down menu and again, make a table of your own. Hi, everybody. I want to be able to take my table in a Google Doc and add new rows and columns, delete rows and columns, and also, change how the width of the rows and columns are working. So let's take a peek at that. First of all, how do I add new rows and columns to my table? I already saw that if I go to the bottom of the last cell of my table and I hit Tab, when my cursor is blinking in that cell, I get a new row. So it's a great way to, for example, do data entry, because as soon as you get to that last row, last cell, hit Tab, you've got a new row. You can keep typing. But what if I'm in the middle of the table and I need a new column? This is where, if you're on a PC, right-clicking is a great way to go. So if you right-click, you'll see that you get a secondary menu. And this about the third tier, fourth tier down in this menu, you've got great tools for helping you insert both rows and columns. And it lets you pick where they're going to go. So I want a new column to go to the right. So I'm going to come into this secondary menu and left-click on Insert Column Right. You'll see that's exactly what it does. And notice how it auto fits the columns so that they're all staying within the width of the page. Now a new row, same thing. I can come in, right click and say new row above or below. In this case, I'll say below, and you'll notice it puts my new row right in where I need it to go. Now, what about adjusting the width and the height of columns and rows? Let's start with column widths. I'm going to bring my mouse pointer right between the columns and I'm just going to left drag. And this is very common in a lot of your, again, both spreadsheet and word processing applications. You can basically auto fit your columns just by left dragging and adjusting the width that way. Additionally, when it comes to row height, same thing. I'm going to rest my mouse pointer between the rows that I want to adjust, just left drag down, and that particular row will get taller. You can also go to a row that you're typing in and hit your Enter key. That's an additional way to add extra line space into those columns and rows. Now, as always, we want you to try this out. So please go into our exercise files. There's a file there called Table 1A. And of course, it has a table in it. And we want you to practice adding your own columns and rows to that Google Doc. Go for it. Hey everybody, welcome back to Google Docs Advanced. I want to show you how to format a table, also how to delete rows and columns, merge cells. Just some great tools to help you make this table look the way you want it to. So let's start. Notice I'm in a Google Doc called Office Return Plan. If you go to our exercise files folder and open up Office Return Plan-A, you can try out this same stuff in that Google Doc. Now, the first thing I need on my document is I really need a title row at the top of the table. To do this, I need to insert a new row in my table. So what I want to do is click on the row that I want my new row to go above. Now, I could right-click and do this, but there's actually also a menu in the format drop-down menu that you can get to. So I'm going to go up to format, come down to table, and you'll see that you get some of the same options you would have if you were to right click. And I'm going to go ahead and select insert row above. So I get a new row. It does have 4 cells in it, and I need these cells to all become one. This is called merging. To do that, I'm going to highlight the cells in that row, and then this one is easiest to get to if you right click. So I'm going to right click, and you'll notice that about towards the middle bottom of the right click menu, I have a merge cells, and it takes all of those cells and makes them into one. Now I can type above the top my title for my table. Now, if I would like to format this text, it's really easy. It's just like formatting normal text in a paragraph. I'm going to drag over the top of it with my mouse, come up to the toolbar. Notice I can increase the font size, make it maybe a 14-point font size, put it in bold. I can use my center alignment to center it. I can even change the font size by using the text color button. Let's go for a lovely shade of blue. And now I've added a little bit of formatting. What if I have an extra column in this table that I would like to get rid of? You'll see here I have nearest sanitizing and nearest hand washing area. I really don't need both. They're kind of redundant. So I'm going to right click in the column I would like to get rid of. I don't even need to highlight it. I can just right click. But you'll notice that when I do that, it's easiest if you do it away from text, that I do get an option to delete the column. When I do this, it's pretty cool because it actually, you'll notice, resizes the other columns underneath, and my top row isn't impacted because it's just all one cell. Now, finally, one more thing that you can do. Sometimes in tables, it's very common to get unequal column widths. You can see that here. And this is just because people have been dragging the columns and changing their width. But if you would like to make them all consistent, you can highlight the columns or the rows, right click inside of them, and come down to distribute columns. What this does is it gives all the columns the same width. If I were to do the same thing with the rows, the same thing would happen. Now, finally, if I need to delete an extra row, same thing. I'm going to right click in it, come down and say delete, in this case, row, and you'll notice it just gets rid of that extra row for me. So the right click menu is really important. As always, we'd love to have you try this out. So please go into the exercise files folder, open up Office Return Plan A, and try again formatting that table. Hi everyone, I want to take a table in a Google Doc and really get in and format that table. So we've already seen how you can use options on the toolbar to help you format text, but what about things like the background color of your table, also the border color of the cells, things like that. So notice I am in a file called Office Return Plan Format. In the exercise files folder, there's also an Office Return Plan Format A if you want to try this out. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually come into an area called the table properties. So for this, I'm going to right click anywhere inside of my table, and notice about 4th or 5th from the bottom, you'll see table properties. If you were not on a PC and could right click, if you go up to the format drop-down menu and come down to table, you'll see the bottom of that menu will also take you to table properties. So there's multiple ways to get here. When you get into this box, you're going to see, again, properties for the entire table. First of all, what is your color border? Now the default is black. Notice I could come in and make this white. If I do that though, notice when I come to my table, I don't see the borders anymore. This is a great way to create really lined up text without having to have borders turned on. I'm going to turn that off just so we can see them again. And then I'm going to right click and go back down to table properties. I want to change my borders to maybe a dark, well, let's say a dark gray. I can also increase their font size. Notice right here, the fonts are done in points. Then I also have a cell background. Sometimes this is referred to as the fill color of your cells. I'm going to come in and change it to kind of a light yellow. Now, cell vertical alignment. This means if your cells are really tall, are they aligned at the top, middle, or bottom? I'm going to put mine in the middle. Now, you can't really tell right now because all of my cells are so narrow in their height, but we're going to change that in a minute. And notice right here, if the table doesn't take up the whole page, you can also see what your cell alignment is. Now, cell padding is going to be the amount of space between the top, bottom, left, and right of each cell. And then notice here, you can also manually adjust your column widths. So maybe I want to change all of my column widths to just 2. Now I'm going to click on OK. And notice that in this case, because I didn't have the rest of the table selected, it's just done it to my one cell that I was in. But do notice here that the borders have all updated. So this time I'm going to highlight the entire table and right click and go down to, in this case, you'll notice when I right click, I'm not seeing that option. It's because I've selected outside the table. So if that happens, go up to the Format drop-down menu and actually come down to Table and then go to Table Properties. Now in here, if I make those changes, right, if I go ahead and make those changes, notice the column width is still there, but I'm also going to adjust the column widths, and then I'm going to click on OK. This time, notice the changes have been applied to the entire table, and even my column widths have adjusted. Now, I want you just to see that if I make this particular row a little bit taller, notice how the alignment of text is always at the top, and that's because that was the cell alignment that I selected. As always, we want you to try this out. So like we said, go into the exercise files folder, open Office Return Plan -Format A, and try formatting your table. Hey everybody, welcome back. We're ready to apply some text styles in a Google Doc. Now right now I have a file called Agent Meeting open. Please remember, if you go to our exercise files folder, you can also open up Agent Meeting -A and try out some, again, text styles in that Google Doc. Now first of all, what is a text style? A text style is a combination of pre-built formats that are going to include font size, font color, even if something is in italics or bold, all combined into one word to quickly apply all those formats at the same time. Now, great news, Google Docs has some built-in text styles that you can use. Sometimes they're also referred to as paragraph styles. So to use one of their default, again, paragraph styles, the first thing you need to do is actually click in the paragraph where you'd like to apply the style. So I've come in here and I'm going to click in my very top line and come up to the toolbar. You'll see right now it just says normal text. This is the default style, which means there really isn't a preset style right now applied. But if I click on it, you're going to see that I have several, all the way from title down to heading 3. Do know once you pick heading 3, there are actually 3 more headings. It goes all the way down to heading 6 that you can use, but you won't see it until you apply heading 3. So I'm going to go ahead and click on title, and you'll notice it applies it to that specific line of text. Now, if I come down to another line, again, another paragraph, and this time I'm going to select heading 2, you'll notice it applies it there. And I could continue to come down in the document and apply, again, these different pre-built styles. And it's a really great way to quickly update my document as I come in and just quickly add these headings to my doc, and it creates consistency. It's also a way later on to build outlines out of your Google Docs, and they automatically save, and you don't have to create them because they're built into the document. We'd love to have you try this out, so go to the exercise files folder, open up Agent Meeting -A, and apply some of these pre-built paragraph styles to your own Google Doc. Hey everybody, we've been using paragraph styles in a Google Doc, but what if we want to take the paragraph styles that Google has provided and add some zing to them? I mean, be able to adjust them, make them our own. So I have a Google Doc open called Agent Meeting -Styles. If you go to the, again, exercise files folder, you can open up Agent Meeting -Styles A and play with the styles in there just like we're going to do. So first of all, I've applied heading 2 to a couple of the paragraphs in this document. You can see up here because when I look at the toolbar, it tells me where that particular style has been applied. It's great, but I'd like to update it. And the great thing about a style is if you update it in one place, Google Doc updates it wherever you've applied the style. So it's a great way to make sure that you have consistent formatting in your Google Doc. First thing I'm going to do is actually just click anywhere in that paragraph, and I'm going to make some changes to it. I'm going to highlight actually all of it because these will be some additional formatting changes. I'm going to come in and apply a new font color. I'm also going to apply a new highlight color. So notice now it has the red font color with the yellow background. It sticks out a lot. Now, at this point, if I look at the other places where I've applied heading 2, they have not updated. So I'm going to make sure that they also look like this new change I've made. I'm going to click in that paragraph, come up to the Format, again, drop-down menu, and I'm going to come down to Paragraph Styles. Now, I know it's heading 2 that I've been playing with, so I'm going to come down to heading 2, and you'll notice right now that next to heading 2, I see the check mark Apply Heading 2, but I've updated my heading 2. I'm going to select Update Heading 2 to match. Now, what's super cool is everywhere where I applied heading 2, it now looks the same as the heading 2 that I've updated. So this is a great way for you to take existing styles and update them, like I said, with some zing of your own. So try it out. Hey everyone, welcome back. We want to create an outline of a Google Doc. Now, one of the great things about using paragraph styles in a Google Doc is that it will automatically create an outline for you. So just a quick review on what those paragraph styles are. Remember, a style is a combination of formats, everything from font style to size of font and even color. So right here, if I look at this document, and by the way, if you want to try this out, go to the exercise files, open up Consulting Agreement 2021-1, and you can give this a try yourself. But when I click inside the very top paragraph and I look at my, again, toolbar, I'm going to see right here, it tells me that the title style has been applied to that particular paragraph. If I scroll further down in the document, I'm going to start seeing that there are headings. And when I click on one of those paragraphs, I can see it tells me it's heading 1. Now, by doing this, I'm actually creating an outline of my document. And let's look at the purpose behind creating an outline. To open the outline up, I'm going to come to the top left-hand corner, really right under the undo and redo buttons, and I'm going to see the Show Document Outline button. When you click on this, you're going to see a list of where those different heading styles or different paragraph styles have been applied inside of the Google Doc. All you do to use them is click, and it actually takes your cursor up to the front of the given paragraph. So not only is it an outline, but also it's a way to jump to specific points in the document, much like a bookmark or a hyperlink. And in a really long document, it's a spectacular way to quickly jump to different sections that you need to get to. Now, the other thing that can happen, and if you come down towards the bottom of the document, you can actually add to the outline. To do this, you're going to apply paragraph styles. So I'm going to come right here to start with, and I'm going to click in my number 12 heading that I haven't yet applied a heading style to. Now I can come up here and use the toolbar by applying the heading there. I can also come up to the format ribbon and go to paragraph styles. This is kind of like going the long way. Go down to heading 1 and then select paragraph style that way. You'll notice that that one actually did the entire paragraph. So I'm going to come down a little bit so it doesn't include the paragraph above. And then I'm going to do heading 1. Now, another thing to note is that it doesn't have to just be heading 1. If you look here, any of the styles in this list, including some additional styles that you'll only see when you go to the Format drop-down menu and then go to Paragraph Styles, you'll see they go all the way down to heading 6. These will also be included in your outline. So right here in the Signatures line, if I were to come and I were to apply a heading 2 to that, you'll see that it's already added it to my outline automatically. And again, this is a great way for me to quickly update my outline by adding additional styles. You can use this not only as a way to create the outline, but again, as a way to quickly jump to specific sections. Try it out on your own. Hey everybody, I'm ready to add some images to one of my Google Docs. You know, the thing about images is that they add so much detail and they also cue people's interest. What's the saying? A picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, that's exactly what we're trying to do. So right now I have a Google Doc open called Travel Brochure. If you go into the exercise files, you can find a Travel Brochure-1 that you can try this same thing out in. Now, what this is basically a document talking about different travel destinations that a travel company is offering. And right here, you're going to see that I have Rome, Ireland and Iceland listed in my document. I'd like to have a picture underneath each of these locations just to help cue people's interest and get them excited. So I've clicked right after the word Rome and I'm going to hit enter. Now over on the right, I already have it open, but I'm going to close it so you can see how to open it. To search Google for an image that you would like to insert into your doc, we're going to come up here to the Insert drop-down menu, and image is the very top item. And you'll see that there are different places that I can get images from. Now, if you don't have an image, a good place to start is to search the web. This is using the Google image search. I still remember the first time I did it and how impressed I was with all the images that came back. We do have to be aware of copyright when we use this tool, but in this case, we just want a picture. So we're going to click on Search the Web. You'll notice that it opens up a search tool where I can type in something that I'm looking for. In this case, pictures of the beautiful city of Rome. And as soon as I hit enter, it starts searching for me. And here I can see all the different images. To select one of them, I'm going to come over and click. You'll see that when I click, it gets a blue circle with a white check mark in it in the top left-hand corner. Now down on the bottom right, this is really important. To finish inserting the image, I need to click on the Insert button. This is what will actually bring the image into my Google Doc. Now you got to remember that when you bring in images, chances are they're going to be too big or too small. So it's up to you to click on the image. Notice you get the blue sizing handles on the middle of the borders and also the four corners. And you can actually use your mouse pointer on any of the corners to drag the image in or out to make it smaller or make it larger. This is a great way to size it down so you can get it to fit more correctly in your Google Doc. Remember, we want you to try it out, so go to the exercise files folder, open up Travel Brochure-1, and try searching Google and finding an image of your own to put into your Google Doc. Hey everyone, welcome back. We want to look at some more options for inserting images into a Google Doc. So right now I have the travel brochure from computer open. If you go into the exercise files folder, you can open up the same thing by going in and opening travel brochure from computer-A. So you can try this out. Now what we want to do at this point is actually get an image that's stored locally on a network or hard drive of the device that we're using. But again, the steps are very similar. I still need to click where I would like the image to go. In this case, it's an image of Ireland, and I do have an image of Ireland stored locally on the computer that I'm working from. So I'm going to hit enter so that my image will be placed below the word, and then I'm going to go up to the Insert drop-down menu and come to image. And again, we're going to see the different locations where I can get my image. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and use the very first one, which is upload from computer. A little bit different because we have to remember that Google Docs is a cloud-based application, which means for me to be able to bring the image from my device, it's actually going to have to upload or copy it. But first I need to get the image. So I'm going to select upload from computer. It's going to ask me where that image is located. I'm going to need to travel to it. Once I find the image, I'm going to click on it and then I'm going to say open. But really what's going to happen is it's going to copy it into my Google Doc and upload it for me. Will it still be back on my local computer? Yes. This is not where it's moving it. It is a copy and it is also an upload, which means sometimes it can be a little bit slow depending on your internet speed. You'll see for me, it came in really quickly. Now, can I adjust the size of this image like I did up above with Rome? I sure can. I can come to the corners and drag it and adjust its size and get it placed, again, size-wise and also location-wise where I want it to go. Thanks so much for joining us. And remember, you can try this out by going into the exercise files. Hey everyone, I want to be able to take an image that's stored in my Google Drive and actually bring it into my Google Doc. Now, first of all, let's just see where this image is located. If I come to the top left-hand corner of any Google Doc, I'm going to see that there's a little blue page. This will allow me to go to the Docs homepage. When I click on this, I just want you to see that it shows me any, again, of the templates or even recent documents that I've worked on. To the left-hand side of this, I actually have the main menu for my Google Docs account. If I click on this, I can actually come down to my Google Drive. And just a reminder that Google Drive is where you can store all of your Google content, including Google Docs and images. When I go to Drive, you'll see here that it shows me anything that's in my Google Drive, and this can include images. And right here, I can actually actually see this Iceland image that I would like to bring into my Google Doc. So what I want to do is go back again to the document that I'm working with. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the browser tab that I was just in, and then I'm going to come down to my recent documents and actually open up the document that I want to put this into. Now, if you want to try this out in the exercise files folder, you'll see again a doc called Travel Brochure from Google Drive, and you can use it to try this out. Now, to actually bring that Iceland picture into the document, I'm going to scroll down to where I see again the information about Iceland, and I'm going to hit enter. Then to actually bring that image from my Google Drive into Google Docs, I'm going to go to the Insert drop-down menu, come to Image, and then I'm going to select Drive. It's the third item down. Now, what's great about this is it opens up a task pane over here on the right, and you'll see at the top that it lets me see any recent images I've worked with. It'll also take me just directly to my Google Docs, my Drive within Google Docs. And then also here, you'll notice if I have any shared areas within Google Docs, any shared folders, it would let me see those. But if I go back to my Drive, notice it's showing me images because that's what I've selected. I'm going to select the image of Iceland. Notice at the bottom, there's an insert button on the bottom right-hand corner of the task pane, and that's what will pop the image in. And just like with my previous images, I can click on it and size it by using those sizing handles on the corners, which is really nice because it sizes it both horizontally and vertically at the same time. So you've got lots of options for bringing images in. Hey everybody, welcome back. We want to look at how you can set up the text wrapping around your images. This means how does text and my image work together in a document. So first of all, I want to go ahead and bring another image into my document to use. I'm going to click right here and go up to the Insert drop-down menu, come to Image, and this time I'm just going to search the web. Remember, I can come over to the right and use the Google search to look for anything that I need. Just remember, these are not copyrighted, but it's a great way to bring an image quickly into your document. And I'll see my image get put in here in just a moment. It's come in a little bit big, but notice that it's gone exactly where my mouse cursor was. I can click on that image and I can size it. But notice right now it's set up to be in line with text, meaning the text and the image are on the same level. Now I'm going to go ahead and come up to my toolbar and zoom in just a little bit because I want you to be able to see these options. Notice that when I click on the image down below in line with my text, I get my word wrapping options. The first one is the one that's currently highlighted. Hopefully you can see that. This means in line with the text, meaning it's on the same level as the text, and that's why it's creating such a big space here. It's trying to be on the same line with my first bullet point. The second option I have is wrap text, and you'll see this actually wraps the text around my image. This is a great way to go when you want the text and the image to be on the same level. Notice right here it's telling me again what the margin is around my image. It's 1/8 of an inch, so I can actually come here and make it even less, and you'll see that that allows the text to wrap more easily and be closer to the edge of the image. The third option I have here is breaking text. This means that the image is going to be on its own separate line so that the text is either above or below it. Then I have behind text. This means that if I put the image on top, it tries to have the text come through. Only do this if you can actually read the text, right? If the image is too bright like this one, it's not going to work. And then the final one is in front of the text. And in this case, it actually covers the text up, which is really pretty useless, right? So I'm going to go ahead, and the one that I want to use is going to be the wrap text, where it's going to try to put my text right around the image. And notice that if I drag the image back over, it moves my text over just a little bit. And then by setting my margins here, it allows them to be really close to each other. Now here's the other thing, notice, move with text. This means that if I move the image along, you'll notice that it still keeps its same word wrapping options. But these allow you to also decide how you're going to have that image being placed next to the text on the page. As always, we want you to try this out. So go into the practice folder, open up Travel Brochure with Text Wrap -A, and you can give it a try. Hey everybody, we want to go ahead and explore images inside of Google Docs a little bit more and see how we can impact the options that come with that image. So right now I'm in a document called Travel Brochure with Text Wrap. If you go into the exercise files folder, you can open up this same file. It's called Travel Brochure with Text Wrap -B, and you can try this out. But you'll see that there's a bulleted list towards the top, and I have a cute image here of a guy with some balloons in the background. It's really pretty nice, but I need to go in and look at some of the options I have to work with this image. So I'm going to actually click on the image, and you'll see that up in my toolbar, the buttons change just a little bit when I actually select an image. Right here, you'll see that on the right-hand side, I now have this image options button. If I click on this button, it actually opens up my image options task pane over on the right, and you'll see that there are different sections in it, including size and rotation, and even text wrapping along with position, recoloring, and adjustments. Now, the first one has to do with the size and position of the image on my page. So if I click on this, you'll see here that I can actually come in and I can manually resize both the width and the height of this image just using the options. It's measuring those in inches. You can see that. I can also adjust the width scale and the height scale, and you'll see some of the other options that are in here, including the ability to actually rotate the image, which, depending on the type of document you're creating, might be effective. But in this one, we're going to keep it the same tilt. But when I come up to the caret or the arrow on the top, I can actually collapse that section down. Now, the other section is text wrapping. This is the second one down, and this takes us back to those text wrapping options, but rather than being actually in the document like we see right now, they're inside of this task pane. And sometimes this is a little bit easier way to understand the text wrapping options. Now, right now I have wrap text turned on. You can see that, but this would again allow me to update that. And right here, it lets me decide where the text will wrap. Do I want it to wrap on both sides of the image or just the left or the right? And you can see, depending on the type of document that you're creating, this could impact, again, how the image will work in line with text. And if you deselect your image, you'll see that image options clears. So I have to keep the image selected to continue seeing those different options. And again, we want you to go in and try exploring the image options that are available. So open up that document that we talked about in the practice files folder and give it a whirl. Welcome back, everybody. We want to spend a little bit more time exploring the image options pane that will open up when we have an image selected. So again, in the practice files folder, I'm in Google Doc called Travel Brochure with Text Wrap. You can find that same one. It's called Travel Brochure with Text Wrap -B, and try this stuff out. So to open up the image options box, I have to click on an image. And right here, I have an image. As soon as I click on it, I'll see in my toolbar that the image options button will populate up on my toolbar. I can click on image options, and of course, my image options taskbar populates over on the right. Now, we've already explored size and rotation and text wrapping, but I want to take a minute and explore some of these other options. So position is the one that's in the middle. This has to do with how that graphic or image is placed on your Google Doc. When I click on this, you'll notice that it gives me different options. Move with text just means that my image will move relative to the text that's next to it, but I also have an option to do fixed position on page. This one's kind of nice because there are actually layouts that you can pick from that let you take that image and move it to the middle of the page or even up to the top left-hand corner. And it will maintain its current, again, text wrapping options, but you can see how it really moves it around. In my case, I want to just go ahead and keep it and move it back to where it was. So if I go back and say move with text, then I can move it back down by the bulleted list. Now, as we continue through our journey here with these different options and image options, I want to move down now to recolor. This allows me to take my image, and right now it says no recolor, but notice I can click, and there are different, again, image coloring options that will, for example, give the image a different background color. And if you come down to the bottom, you're going to even have more of the traditional kind of black and white or sepia options. So lots of choices, including where it takes the black and white and trades places with them. So you can really change again how your options, how your image looks, or just go back to the top and pick recolor to turn all that off. Now, under adjustments, I can come in and I can actually make, for example, my picture be brighter. I can change its contrast, and I can make it transparent. Now, the reason I might mention transparency is if you make your graphic more transparent and then you come up to text wrapping, you could actually come in and say, hey, I'd like the graphic to be behind the text. Notice right now, it's still with the wrap text option. If I put it behind text and then I actually left drag it behind the text, you'll see that now the graphic can appear behind the text without overpowering the text so I can't see it. And always remember that when you click on that, again, when you click away from your graphic, the image options box will not close, but you won't see the options in it. So you need to keep your graphic selected so that you can continue to see those options and adjust how that image is appearing in your Google Doc. Remember, try this out. Open up Travel Brochure with Text Wrap -B and try changing more of those image options yourself. Hey everybody, right now I have a Google Doc open called Travel Brochure Change Image, and this is one that we've been playing with. It has different images in it. You can see them here, but what if I decide that I'd like to change one of the images that's in my Google Doc? So I'm gonna go ahead and come up to the toolbar and actually zoom in. I have this image right here, a picture of Rome, and I'd like to try something else, maybe that's a little bit more exciting. So I'm actually gonna click on the image. Of course, we're gonna see the sizing handle show up, and of course the little image wrap options down below. Notice right here I do have this ellipses, and remember in Google Docs if you see an ellipses it means there are more options. This will actually allow you to get to size and rotation, and it actually opens up your image options task pane over here on the right. But to change the image, I actually need to do something a little bit different. So I'm going to close my image options menu, and I'm going to keep my image selected because remember, up on your Google Docs toolbar, when you select an image, the buttons change a little bit, especially over on the right-hand side. We've already explored image options, but right here we have an option to replace the image, which is exactly what I want to do. So I'm going to come in and click on Replace Image. Notice all the different locations where I can get a new image from my computer, by searching the web, Google Drive, even from photos, a website link, or from the camera associated with my device. We're going to go ahead and do something that's on the web. So I'm going to say search the web, come in again, and using the Google search for images, I'm going to type in the topic I'm looking for. And it's going to look for more images. Let's try the Colosseum this time. I'm going to click on it. Notice how it gets the blue highlight. Now this time it doesn't say insert, it says replace because I'm not inserting a new image, I'm replacing a current image. So I'm going to go ahead and click on replace, and it takes a little bit of time, but now I have a different image. Now keep in mind it might come in with different wrapping options, and I'm seeing that here underneath. So I want to come in and change it back to text wrap. You can see what that's doing again to the text that's over on the left. So I may need to come in and update my text wrap, also where my text is located, just so that that image will work for me the way the other image did. And now I'm updating that so that the image will behave itself. And maybe with this one, I'd rather it be in line with the text. And you'll notice that's going to allow me to have it be, for example, below it by putting it on its own line. As always, we want you to try this out. So go into Travel Brochure -Change Image A in the exercise files and try replacing one of the images with something else. Hey everybody, welcome back. We want to create a drawing of our own inside of a Google Doc. So I have a new blank Google Doc. It's actually called Drawing 1. If you go to the exercise files folder, you can open up Drawing 1-A and use it for this process. But there is a drawing tool inside of Google Docs. If you go up to the Insert drop-down menu and come down to Drawing, it's second from the top, you can create a new drawing here or insert one that's saved to Google Drive. We're going to do a new one. It opens up a drawing canvas with a toolbar that gives me great options. One of them is to create a text box. I'm going to go ahead and click on that, left drag my crosshair around, create my text box, type my text inside of it, and then I'm going to go ahead and say save and close. This will actually take my drawing and put it into my document. But notice that when I click on it, it's an image and not just text. Now notice if I want to go back and edit this, there's an edit button. If I click on edit, it opens up my drawing tool again, takes me back in. Now when I click on my text box, using the additional options here, I can come in, do things like add an additional border, even come in, for example, and add a background color to my image. I can also take the text inside of it, for example, and center align the text. So this toolbar can be really critical in your journey. You can even do borders that are dashed or dots instead of the solid lines. And if you want to add some additional shapes, you can come in, for example, and pick the line tool and actually draw an arrow, and even the arrows can be formatted, for example, with higher number of points and even, for example, an arrow color. And again, when I'm done, if I draw something I don't want, I can hit the delete key and it will be deleted if it's selected. And I can always say save and close, and my drawing will be inserted into my Google Doc. Just remember that it's not normal text. It is a drawing. So if I want to move it, I can left drag it like a graphic. I can also come to the corners and size it and make it bigger, but it's not going to be like normal text. So try this out. Go into the exercise files folder, open up drawing 1-A, and try creating your own drawing inside of a Google Doc. Hey everybody, welcome back to our Advanced Google Docs course. We want to look at how we can bring in a chart into a Google Doc. And this is if you don't have any existing chart data. Well, the great thing is that Google Docs supports you being able to create a chart from scratch. So in order to do this, you need to open up a Google Doc. I have one open. It's called Chart 1. If you go to the exercise files folder, you can open up Chart 1-A and try this out. First of all, you need to click in your Google Doc where you want your chart to go. And then we're going to come up to the Insert drop-down menu and come down to about the fourth item, which is Chart. Now you'll see here that you have 4 basic chart types that you can bring in. You can also bring in one from Google Sheets, but in our case, we're just going to start with a good old bar chart. I'm going to click on that. And suddenly I see a chart inside of my Google Doc. Now, this is not a chart that I created. This is a chart that Google Docs has created for me. And the information in the chart is generic. You can see here it's based on team scores, which is a good place to start. Now, if I click on the chart, it is entirely an image. So you'll see here that I get word wrapping options, as well as, again, the ellipses that's vertical that I can open up and go into the image options for my chart, which is really just a picture. So you'll see here that if I want to go in and change the way my chart looks, I can do things like recolor it. And notice this will recolor the actual bars in the chart. I can also come in and I can change, for example, how transparent the chart is. But these are really treating the chart as if it was an image. Right? When it comes to actually customizing the data that's inside the chart, that's where we're going to actually have to go behind the scenes. Also notice in the top right-hand corner that right now I'm in editing mode. Now, when I want to actually go in and edit my chart, what I'm going to have to do is come to the top right-hand corner where I see it tell me that this is a linked chart. I'm going to click on the arrow and come in and open source. Any chart inside of Google Docs is going to be based on a Google Sheet that Google Docs creates when you make the chart. So when I say open source, notice that I now get a brand new tab that opens up, and it's taken me into a Google Sheet called Chart 1. And Google Docs does this for me when I go in and insert a new chart from scratch. And if I look by scrolling up just a little bit in my new Google Sheet that's just opened up, we'll see that it's the same chart that I'm seeing here, along with the data that the chart's based on. So again, go in and try this out. To get back to your Google Doc, you just click right here on Chart 1 and you'll see it open up. Hi everybody, welcome back. I have a file open called Chart1-Updated, and it's a Google Doc that has a chart inside of it. Now I'd like to go in and actually update the information for my chart. To do this, I need to access the Google Sheets that the chart data is actually stored in. To do that, I need to start by coming into my chart and clicking on it. After I click on my chart in the top right-hand corner, I'm going to see this little link box open up. And when I select the arrow next to the side, it's going to allow me to actually open the source for this chart or unlink it. Now, in my case, I need to make updates, so I want to open source. All your charts will be stored in Google Sheets if you create them while you're inside Google Docs. So when I come in, you might notice that my chart has a different theme applied to it, but it's still the same information. And what's really critical is the actual information that's up here at the top. So for example, I want to come in and update some of the values that are in my chart data. To do this, all I do is click and start typing in the updated values. And you'll notice that as I do this, I'm actually going to see my chart change. and update as well. And this is because the most important thing is not the chart, it's the data that the chart is based on. So you'll see that as I make these changes, the chart also updates below. Now let's say that I actually want to change the chart type that I have. When I'm here inside of Google Sheets, I can click on my chart, come over, and you'll see that in the top right-hand corner of my chart, I have 3 vertical dots. When I click on these, they give me options for working with this chart. One of them is that I'd like to edit the chart. So I'm going to click on it. It's going to open up my chart editor tool. Now, any of my charts, this one is, of course, again, the semblance of the one that's in my Google Doc, are based on the changes I make here. So maybe I want to change this to a column chart. And you'll see when I make that change, it changes here. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come back to my Google Docs tab where I left from, and I'll see that my chart has not updated. For my chart to update, I'm actually going to come right here because what we're seeing is that Google Docs is getting, again, information from Google Sheets where the chart is saved that it's updated. When I click on Update, we're going to see that my chart updates, but it continues to maintain the same color scheme that's in Google Docs. To update this, what I'm going to need to do is actually come in and go to my image options in the top right-hand corner, because inside of Google Docs, charts are an image. Come down to Recolor and actually pick a different color from my image options. And this is what will actually recolor my chart. My chart back here will still have the same color scheme that was applied to it inside of Google Sheets. But the thing to remember is that anytime I come in here and update the chart here inside of Google Sheets, it'll update here. But when I go back into my Google Doc, I won't see the update. I have to click on the update so that it will refresh to my Google Sheet. The Google Sheet will always be part of the Google Doc. And again, the way to get to it is to go to your Google Doc, come to your chart, and click on the linking button at the top and say Open Source. And that's what will open up your Google Sheets information. And it's where your actual, again, chart data is stored. Again, try it out, open up chart 1-updated A, and that'll let you try it. Hi, everybody. I would like to take a chart that I currently have in Google Sheets and put it into my Google Doc. Now, I just have an untitled new blank document open in Google Docs. So if you do the same thing, then you can try this out. Now, to actually put your chart in, remember that you need to click where you want your chart to go. And I want my chart right here at the top of my Google Doc. Then I'm going to come in and go to the Insert drop-down menu and come to Chart. Now this time the chart already exists. It's in a Google Sheets file. So I'm going to come to Google Sheets and you'll see that it's saying, okay, here are different Google Sheets that are in your Google Drive. And to find the one with the chart, you just select it. And then you come down and say select at the bottom, or if you also say double click, it'll do the same thing. There's only one chart currently in that Google Doc. So if I click on this, it will import it, allow me to import it. And again, remember, charts are an image, but this is my chart and it was in my Google Doc. Notice when I click here, it lets me decide what my wrapping would be if I had text around the chart. But what if I want to now go in and update the way the chart looks? In the top right-hand corner, you're going to again see the linked chart options because remember, this chart actually resides in Google Sheets. So I'm going to click on the arrow and open the source for my chart. This will take me into the Google Sheets where the chart's actually coming from and let me see its data. If I come in here and make changes to this data, I will be updating my chart, but I have to make sure that I update it once I get back into Google Docs. So notice I'm making a few changes and it's updating here. Now, if I make changes to the chart here inside of the Google Sheets, I'm going to click on the chart, come to the 3 dots in the top right-hand corner, and actually select Edit Chart. This is going to take me into the chart editor. From here, I can come in and do things like change the chart type that I have. So notice now I've updated it to a little bit of a different, this is a 100% stacked column chart. Notice below some of the other options that I have for customizing my chart, including the ability to do things like add customized formatting over here, like a different chart style, for example, where I change the background color. Woo, that's a little bit dark, right? Let's go with something a little bit lighter. There we go. And now I've made that change. Now, if I close Google Sheets, remember everything saves automatically and I go back to my chart in my Google Doc, it hasn't yet updated. So to update it, I need to come right here to the top right-hand corner because Google Docs knows there's been a change. click on the update button, and I'll see my chart update with the changes that I made inside of Google Sheets. Again, we'd want you to try it out. So open up a new blank Google Doc and try bringing in a chart that's provided in the exercise files folder and practice making some changes to it. Hey everybody, welcome back. I want to be able to edit a chart in one of my Google Docs the way I want it to. So if you open up editing chart-A from the exercise files folder, you can try this out. Now remember, inside of Google Docs, a chart is just an image. So we actually have to get to the source of the chart to make changes to it. So I'm going to come right here and click on my chart. You'll see it here. And of course, to edit the chart, I'm going to come to the top right-hand corner to the link button, and I'm going to say open source. This will take me in and actually open up the Google Sheet where this particular chart is stored. And you'll see here, it's called monthly cells. Now to make changes to the chart from Google Sheets, I need to again select the chart. And in the top right-hand corner, I'm going to see options that will allow me through this vertical ellipses to go into the chart editing toolbar, or I should say taskbar. So when I click on the vertical ellipses, I want to say edit chart. This opens up the chart editor where I can change the type of chart. I can also come down and change the series. But in my case, I want to customize the format of my chart. So I'm going to come to customize. Now in this menu, you're going to see, first of all, I can do chart style. This has to do with the formatting of the chart. I can do things, for example, like change the border color. I can also come in and make the chart 3D. Additionally, I could also come in, for example, and change the theme of the font inside of the chart. So you can notice how this will allow me to update the look of the chart as I make these changes. Now, in addition, if I, again, close up the chart style, I can come down, for example, to legend. And notice right now that the legend, for example, is at the top, but I can actually move it over to the right, and this will update it. I can also come in, for example, and pick a different legend font. So you can see here, and I can also change the text color of the legend by going through these different options and changing them. I can also come in and format, for example, my axes. Maybe I want the information in my horizontal axes to be in italics. And as I make these changes, I see my chart update. Just remember that you'll see the updates in Google Sheets, and they're automatically saving because we're in a cloud-based or web-based application. But when I close my Google Sheets and go back to my chart inside of Google Docs, it's not updated because I still have to click on the update button for it to refresh to the changes that were made inside of that Google Sheets. And remember that if the chart inside of Google Sheets gets deleted, this chart would also be gone because they're basically the same thing. Remember, go in and try it out. Hey everybody, welcome back. I want to show you a cool feature that allows you to actually connect to events in your Google Calendar and bring them into Google Docs to take notes about them. Now, I do have my calendar open for the Google account that I'm logged into. You can see it up here, and I just want you to notice that if I go into my Google Calendar, I can see the different meetings that are on my calendar. No big deal. A lot of us maintain calendar events inside of a Google Calendar. Now, I'm going to come back over to Google Docs because it's still open and open up a new blank document. But one of the things we do a lot is take notes about meetings. What if I could bring the basics of those meetings that are already recorded in my Google Calendar and then add my notes? So what I want to do is go to the Insert Ribbon tab, click on it, and come down to Building Blocks. One of the building blocks inside of Google Docs is meeting notes. What this does is it connects to the calendar events in your Google Calendar and allows you to bring in the details. When I click on this, it shows me a list of all the different events in my calendar. I'm going to come in and pick the one that I want to do notes for, click on it, and it inserts the details. Now notice, for example, I could even attach them if I wanted, but I'm going to dismiss that. I can take my notes. It would include attendees if I had invited any coworkers to the meeting. I can come after action items and hit enter and delete that, or I can keep it in. But this allows me to actually take notes next to my meeting notes. And then basically create, for example, meeting minutes or an agenda. But the nice thing this does is it basically creates the foundation of what I'm creating because it's coming in from my Google Calendar. And again, it's an untitled document right now. So I just come up here to the top left-hand corner and save it. And then I could share it with my coworkers. Give it a try. Open up a new blank doc and try inserting some meeting notes into it. Welcome back, everybody. We want to put word art into a Google Doc. Now, word art is basically where you're making text into an image. So I'm going to click where I want my word art to go, and we're going to be using the drawing canvas again to do this. So we're going to go up to the Insert drop-down menu, come down to Drawing, and we're going to be new because our word art doesn't yet exist. In the drawing canvas, we want to go to the Actions menu and select word art. It opens up a box for us to type in the word that we want to turn into our word art. As soon as we hit enter, you'll see the word art get put into our document. When we click on Save and Close, you'll see the word art get added. Now, to edit the word art, you actually have to come in and click on it. You'll see that it looks like it is an image. But underneath, there is an edit option, along with, of course, your word wrapping options for how this particular word art will wrap around the text that it's next to. In this case, I want to click on Edit. It will open up my drawing canvas again, and I have to click on my word art because it's like an image, but now I'll see additional buttons up in this drawing toolbar to help me do things like adjust the fill color of my word art, also come in and change the border color, make the border color different styles like dots, and adjust the thickness of the word art border. Whoa, that gets a little bit crazy, doesn't it? But you can see how it really changes the way it looks. And then also do things like change the font style that it's being used for it. Now, if you want to tilt your word art, you're going to see up here there is a little button that you can click on. It's a circle that will allow you to actually tilt it. And then, of course, you have your bold and italic buttons. When you're done, if you click on Save and Close, it will close the drawing canvas and actually update the changes you've made to your word art. But notice it is a graphic rather than text. So you want to edit it, you do have to come underneath, go to the edit button, and it will actually take you back into the drawing canvas like you saw, where you have to click on it, and then you can make those additional changes that you want so that you can, again, make it look different. And as soon as you're done, when you hit Save and Close, it will refresh the graphic, or the word art in this case, and save your changes to it. But again, this is something where a little goes a long way, so use it sparingly. And remember that just like a graphic, you can size it and make it smaller if it's too big. You can also use your alignment buttons to align it, for example, in the middle of your document. But it is a way to kind of make a document have a more artistic flair. Try it out. In our exercise files folder, open up Meeting with Word Art -A, and you can try adding some word art to the top of that Google Doc. Welcome back, everybody. I want to be able to put in, for example, an equation into my Google Doc. And you'll notice that when you look at the menus, you really don't see equation options. Obviously, there aren't a lot of equation symbols on the keyboard. So how do we do that? Right now, I have just a blank Google Doc open, and I'd like to insert an equation at the top. So what I want to do is actually come in, and I'm going to start by typing an equal sign because that's easy enough. I'm also going to just zoom in on it a little bit to make it easier for everybody to see. Then I'm going to come to my Insert drop-down menu and come down to Equation. It's right above Special Characters. And you're going to see a new toolbar open up underneath of my existing toolbar. It's all about helping you to create the basically syntax of an equation. You'll see here that right here I actually have Greek letters. Then I have, again, the second button over. We can see that one. Third one's got your greater than and less thans, parentheses. So you can see that it's providing you with the different notation you need to create the formula. So what I'm going to do is you'll see right now that my mouse cursor is already blinking in a little box where it's ready to use one of these symbols inside of it. So I can actually come in and I can select the symbol that I want to use and actually put it into my formula. If I decide I don't want it, I can actually just hit the backspace key, but I'm going to go ahead and type in the first number in my formula. Then I can come in and say New Equation. It opens it up so that I can come in and actually use some of the characters. And you'll notice that I have created a very simple and ugly equation. And if I want to go back and edit the equation, all I have to do is click inside of it. Let's try it one more time. I'm going to start my equal sign because that's not one of the symbols. And then I'll click on New Equation. Again, you'll see the different options here. This time I want to come in and say less than or equal to, and then I can type in the value that I want to use. And you can see here how that creates, again, the basics of an equation inside of my Google Doc. Try it out. Open up a new blank Google Doc and go up to that Insert drop-down menu and play with building some equations of your own. Hey everybody, welcome back. I want to talk about special characters inside of Google Docs. These are things like trademark symbols and copyright symbols, things that we can't normally type on our keyboard because we don't have keys representing them. But the great news is with special characters, they're pretty easy to put in. So I've come into a blank Google Doc and I'm just going to type in copyright because I need a copyright symbol. To find a copyright symbol, I need to insert it through a special character. To get to special characters, we're going to go to the Insert drop-down menu and come down about the middle of the menu. You'll see Special Characters. Now, this has a lot in it, this box. So you'll see at the top there are different, again, symbols that you can pick from, even arrows. But over here, I'm going to actually come in and type in what it is that I'm looking for, which is a copyright symbol. This will find it for me. And then I can come in and actually click on the symbol that I want. Now, let's say that I want to do another one. I'm going to come underneath and hit Enter, except we don't want it to keep putting it in. So let me backspace it. And now I'm going to type in trademark. Now for this one, I'm again going to search. And you'll see here that as soon as I start typing in the word trade, it finds it. If I go too far to trademark, it stops, which is the TM symbol, and it puts it into my Google Doc for me. When I'm done, all I have to do is come right here, click on the close button, and it closes that box. But again, this is a way for you to get those special characters just by searching for them by going to the Insert drop-down menu and then coming to Special Characters. So go into a blank Google Doc and try it out on your own. Hey everybody, welcome back. I want to address another just simple thing, but again, you can't find it on your keyboard, and when you can't, it will make you crazy. This is the ability to use Superscript and Subscript. Now, first of all, which is which? Well, let me type in a word in a new Google Doc to give you an example. I'm going to type in the word first. Now, it's very common in the English language when we type in the ST to have it be superscript, which means it's above the line, kind of like a flying Superman. So to do this, I've selected the text that I want to make superscript. I'm going to come up to the format ribbon. This is actually just the formatting of that text. And it is text, it's not a paragraph. When you come to the text styles, you'll see that Superscript and Subscript are actually available under the Format Text options. I'm going to select Superscript. Notice you can also do the keyboard shortcut, Control+$, and it will do the same thing. And notice how the ST goes above the line. Now, the other option is to do Subscript, which is where one of the characters goes below the line. So I've just typed in H2O to represent water. It's very common for the 2 in that to actually go down below the line. I'm going to zoom in on it a little bit. So for Subscript, I'm actually going to come back to that Format drop-down ribbon, come to text and go to Subscript. And you'll notice it puts the 2 way down below. But again, when you're doing different notation, this can be important because it helps to more adequately present the information in a way that the reader can say, oh, that means this and that means that. So go into a blank Google Doc and try it out. Hey everybody, welcome back. We want to look at how you can create your own linking within a larger Google Doc and a tool called a bookmark. Now, you've already seen how you can create the outline view using the heading styles. In fact, if we come over here to the top left-hand corner of a Google Doc, you'll see that if different formatting styles have been used or paragraph styles in a document, they create a way to quickly jump to those specific locations. But what if you want to just take normal text or text that does not have a style applied to it and create bookmarks to those points in the document? And you can do this in any Google Doc. This is a great use case for a bookmark. And a bookmark is basically, like we've talked about, a link within a document to a specific page. You can only use bookmarks inside of Google Docs. They're not actually available right now in the other Google applications like Sheets or Slides. So let's look at how we can actually add some inside of this training proposal Google Doc. And remember, if you go to the exercise files folder, you can actually open up training proposal-A and try this out. So I'm going to come down and actually select text that I want to make into a bookmark. I'm going to highlight it. In this case, I'm going to the second page and highlighting some words in a paragraph. Then I'm going to come to my Insert drop-down ribbon and come towards the bottom, and I'm going to look for bookmark. So as you go down in this list, just go ahead and look for the bookmark option. It's down towards the bottom. All you'll see is that the text will turn a different color for just a minute, and then it turns off, and then a small little bookmark appears in the left-hand column. I'm going to come down and also do the same thing in another paragraph. I'm selecting the text, then I'm going up to my Insert ribbon, coming down to bookmark. Now for these bookmarks to really do me any good, I need to now link them to the spot in the text where I want to be able to click and get back to the bookmark. So what I want to do is come further down in the document and find the spot that I want to be my link. Well, the first one's going to be down here in the next couple of pages where it says the word trainer. I'm going to select that. And then to make that a link, I have to link it back. So for that, we again go back to the Insert drop-down menu and come down to Link. Now you can create different kinds of links, but a bookmark is an internal link inside of your Google Doc. So right here at the bottom of the link menu, you'll see that it will also allow me to link to headings and bookmarks. So we're going to click on that. Now I'm going to see the headings that were created by the formatting styles, but if I come down towards the bottom, I'll see those bookmarks that I selected. And it does include, the text, but also some of the additional words around it. I'm going to click on that. Now what I'll see is that where I created the link, it now looks like a hyperlink. Let's go ahead and put in one more link. I'm going to select more text, go back up to my Insert Ribbon tab, come down to Link. And again, I need to go down to where the headings and bookmark links are, scroll down all the way to the bottom until I find the link I created for the second bookmark that I made. Now to use these bookmark links, I'm now going to actually come over the top of the link that's been inserted, hold down my Control key and click, and you'll notice it opens up a list and it shows me what the bookmark is. If I want to click on it, it'll actually take me up to where that bookmark was created. Let's try the second one as well. So you just come in, find where you made that. Again, hold down your Control key and click. It'll open up the bookmark menu. You can click on bookmark and it will jump you to that point in the document. So like we talked about, it's an internal way to jump around. If you come back to the bookmark, you'll notice that you can click on it and it will open up a menu that will allow you to either copy the bookmark or delete it. And by deleting it, you're just removing it from the document. If you come down, it doesn't take away the links you've created. It's just taking away the link to that specific bookmark. Go ahead and open up Training Proposal-A from the exercise files and try doing this yourself. Hi, everybody. We want to try actually adding some hyperlinks inside of our Google Doc. And remember, hyperlinks can be internal, where they link you to spots in your document, or local to your device, or they could actually take you out to a different website. And that third kind is the one we want to do. Why would we do this? To help support our Google Doc to provide extra documentation. So right now I have Training Proposal open. You're more than welcome to open up Training Proposal-A from the exercise files folder to try this out. Now, the first step to make a link is to select the text that you would like to have be hyperlinked. So I'm going to come into my Google Doc and highlight the text, and it can be a few words or an entire paragraph. Just remember, it will make it into a hyperlink. After I do that, I have some different options. I can go to the Insert drop-down menu and come down to Link. It's down towards the bottom. Or you can actually also, if you're on a PC, right-click, and you'll see that Link is also available in that right-click menu. They're both going to take you into the pasting of a link option. Now, because I want to link to a website, and because I'm already in a web browser, notice where my mouse cursor is blinking here. It's asking me to either search for a link or paste a link in. Well, if I do, for example, a search, like I want to find msn.com, just kidding, we'll look for google.com. Haha, right? I can actually look for it. Now you'll see here that it thinks it's probably found it right here from my search. If I'm not sure, I can right click on it. I can come in and notice that I can open my link and it will actually test drive it and take me to it. So I can also come in, for example, and if I've put in a link and decide I don't want it, I can right click on it and say remove. That will take it off. This time, let's say, for example, I'm not quite sure what link I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the text, right-click, and go to link. And right here, when I see the box, I can leave the link box open, but come up to my browser that I'm in and actually open up a new browser tab. And then I'm going to navigate to the site that I want to link to. Notice here, maybe I want to do an image search. Once I find what it is that I'm looking for, I'm going to go ahead and get the link for that and copy it, and then I'm going to paste that into my box, and then I'll say apply. Now to try it out, I just come in and click on it. It brings up the hyperlink box. I can click, and notice it actually takes me to the Google image search. So again, it's a way to not only link within your document, you can also use it to link outside of your document. Try it out on your own. Hi, everybody. I want to be able to add comments to my Google Doc. Now, comments allow you to kind of like add electronic sticky notes into your Google Doc when you need to, let people know how things are going at different points in the document. I've opened up training comments, and if you go to the exercise files folder and open up training comments -A, you'll have this same file. If I come down to the second page, I'm going to see where there are already some comments in this document. Over here on the right, you can see that I've created 2 different comments, and they're open right here so that I can see them. And you'll also notice that they're allowing me to basically have a discussion inside the document. Now, you can also actually, when a file is shared through Google Docs, actually have comments from coworkers inside your document. But first of all, how do you add a comment in? Well, I'm going to come in and I'm going to highlight the text that I want to have attributed to the comment. And then I'm going to go up to my ribbon or my toolbar, and right in the middle, you're going to see the Insert Comment button. When I click on it, it opens up a comment with whoever I'm logged in as in my Google account, their name, and then I can type in my comment. And when I'm done, I can just hit comment and it posts my comment. You'll notice it highlights the text because the text is now part of that comment experience. Another option for adding comments is to right-click. And when you right-click, you'll also see that in the right-click menu, there is a comment option. Again, opening up that box. And the idea is if I were sharing this file with coworkers, they would see my comments. Without impacting the text, we would be able to go through and, again, read each other's comments. Now, what's an easier way to see all the comments in a Google Doc? What I want to do is actually come to the top right-hand corner, and you'll see that next to the share button, an open comment history box will open up. This lets me see all the different comments, and if this particular file was shared with coworkers, they would be able to reply to my comments, and actually we could have discussions together about the comments. We can reply to each other's comments, and you'll actually create discussion threads. Now, if a comment gets taken care of, notice on the right-hand side, there are vertical ellipses to help you deal with that comment, or you can edit the comment and open it up. You can also delete it. If you click on resolve, it means that it's been taken care of and it will clear the comment out. If you come to a given comment and it's not necessary anymore, you can click on its ellipses and you can say delete, and it will actually take the comment out of the document. The important thing to remember with comments is that they're not going to print. They're just a way to let you leave documentation within the document that doesn't impact the text. And again, you can go through each comment, deal with it, and once it's done, you can have them all deleted, and you'll notice that it will remove them out of the document, but they're not actually impacting the text. All right, try making some comments of your own. Hey everybody, welcome back. Sometimes in longer reports and proposals, you need footnotes because they help to document content on a given page. Well, Google Docs makes adding footnotes super easy. Right now I have the Google Doc training footnotes open. If you go to the exercise files folder, you can open up training footnotes -A and try this out. So I've gone to the page where I want my footnote to go. Take note that when you add a footnote, no pun intended, it uses the footer area of your page to add that footnote to. So now that I've clicked in this page, I'm going to go up to my Insert drop-down menu, and towards the top middle half of this menu, you'll see Footnote. That actually takes me down to the footer area of this page, and I will type my footnote in. When I'm done, I can hit enter. It'll add an extra space if I do, but if I click away from the footnote, it just puts it in. Let's go down to another page and do the same thing. So now I'm down on page 3. I'm going to go up to Insert Footnote again by going to the drop-down menu. This will be my second. So notice how the first one, if we look at it, had a number 1 next to it. Now when I come down, this second one has a number 2. So it's super easy to do these. And of course, if we go in to print our document, we know that these would be printed with it when it prints if we were to print our Google Doc. So it's a great thing to know that footnotes can help you to quickly add extra documentation to your document. And notice up here where I clicked, it actually adds the little number 2 next to the text where I was clicked when I added my footnote. So go in and try adding some footnotes of your own. Hey everybody, welcome back. I want to talk about something really important in Google Docs, and it's one of the reasons that cloud-based applications or web apps like Google Docs are so popular. What we have inside of Google Docs is a thing called version history. And in the past, you might have kept multiple drafts of files in case you needed to refer back to one or switch to an earlier version. But applications like Google Docs keep all of your drafts in one file, and it makes it a lot easier to go back to a previous version if you need to. And it helps to alleviate that need to have all those different versions of a document saved. Think about how redundant that is. So Google Docs is saving versions of your file within itself. So how do you get to those? Well, right now I have, again, a file in Google Docs open that's called training-version history. To access the version history, I'm going to come up to the File drop-down menu and come down to version history. It's right here. You'll see that if I come in, it'll actually let me name the current version something different, but to see the version history for this file, I'm going to click on See Version History. Now, the idea is for each time the file is open, it actually saves a version of it. It's based on the user that has the file open. So far, Oakley's the only one that's had the file open. We can see that. But what's really neat is what's inside each of these versions. If I go to an older version and click on it, I'm actually going to see that it gives me options where I can name the version and give it a different name rather than the date and the user. I can make a copy of the version, or I can restore it. Now, restoring means that it's actually going to take that version, copy it, and then it will actually make that the version that I'm working with. So you'll notice here that now I'm in that previous version. And if I go back and look at my version history again, and open it up, there are now 3, and it tells me this is a restored version. And you can see it tells me the date and time of my restored version. So you can actually revert back to previous versions. Super cool feature. Probably one of my very favorite things about working with, again, web-based applications. To get out of my version history, I'm just going to come back here to the top left-hand corner, click on the back button, and now I'm back into my normal document. We want you to try this out. So go to training-version history A and try going into the version history and try even restoring one of those previous versions so you can see how easy it is. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I am currently in the Project Proposal Google Doc. If you go into the exercise files, you can open up Project Proposal-A to try this out. We're going to add a table of contents into this Proposal Google Doc. Now, couple things to remember about table of contents. We've talked about this, but when you open up the outline view of this document, you'll see that there are different places where paragraph styles have been applied. These locations are where you will have, again, instances in your table of contents. And if you actually come in and add an additional style by typing in text and then selecting it and then applying a paragraph style, this element will also have an entry in my table of contents. So to actually put the table of contents in, I'm going to click in the document and I'm just going to type in, what I want this to be. This is my table of contents. Hit enter, and is where my cursor is blinking is where the table of contents will go. To insert it in, I'm going to come up to my insert drop-down menu, come down to the very bottom. I have 2 different styles of table of contents. The first one, if you hover over it, is going to be with page numbers. The second one is with blue links. We're going to look at both so you can explore what they look like. So let me pick the first one. And again, it adds my table of contents with the page numbers. And notice that if anything were to update, this would allow me to refresh my table of contents so that if I added new, for example, pages or pages changed in my table of contents, they would automatically update. Now I'm going to come down a little bit and type a second table of contents, because I want you to see what the second style looks like. Again, I'm going to click where I want it to go. Let's kind of scroll down a little bit. Go back to the Insert menu, come down to Table of Contents, and this time we're going to pick the second one, which is with blue links. When I click on this one, rather than giving me page numbers, I actually get hyperlinks. What's nice about this, though, is that once I come in and if I click on one of these links, it gives me the opportunity to actually use my Table of Contents as a way to jump down in my Google Doc to that point. And always remember that if something in your document updates, you can always click on your Table of Contents like I just did, come to the left-hand side and click on the Update button, and it would update these links, or in the case of the one with page numbers, it would update the page numbers that are being used. So try out adding a table of contents to your own Google Doc. Hey, everybody, welcome back. We want to look at one of the great things about having files stored in the cloud, and that is the ability to share them with a coworker. Google Docs does this like a champ. So, right now, I have a letter that I want to share with a coworker or someone else, even outside of my organization. What I'm going to do to actually share the letter is come to the top right hand corner. It's hard to miss because it's so big. We're going to see the share button. When I click on this, it opens up the sharing box. Now let's take a minute and explore this. Right now it's going to show what Google account I'm in. Now to determine the type of link that I will be sharing, this is how the file will be shared with someone, I can come to this gear in the top right-hand corner. This is important because again, it determines how people will be able to access the file and if they can edit the file. When I click on this, you'll notice that it's letting me know that this person I'm sharing the file with would be an editor, which means they have the ability to change these permissions and also share the file. Viewers and commenters can see the options to print, download. And notice that if I uncheck either of these, it would turn those features off for the person I'm sharing the file with. I'm going to keep them both checked. And then I'm going to come back and type in the address of the person that I want to share the file with. Notice it tells me that the person I'm logged in as is the owner. That means I'm the one that created the file and the file resides in my Google Docs. Then I'm going to click on Done. That person is going to get an email with a link to this file inside of it. If they open it, they will be able to edit that file and make changes to it. And again, all I'm doing is going to the top right-hand corner of the file and clicking on Share. And you'll notice that it allows me to control how that file is shared with my coworkers. And it's an excellent way to give coworkers and other people access to your files without having to send an email. So open up Letter Sharing-A from your Google Docs, or I should say from the exercise files, and try sharing it. Hey everybody, welcome back. I have a letter open in Google Docs right now called Letter Sharing that I have shared with someone. And I now want to unshare this file so they no longer have access to it. Now, first of all, how do you know when a file's been shared? You can actually go to your Google Docs homepage to see if files have been shared. So I'm going to come up here to the top left-hand corner to my Google Docs home button. This is again where we can see recent documents I've worked on and also some of the templates that I can base new Google Docs on. If I have shared a file with here, the card representing those files, you'll actually see this little two-headed button. This lets me know that this is a file that I have shared. Also, notice here in the middle of my Google Docs homepage, I can actually see different types of permissions on files. Right now, I'm looking at files that are owned by me. I can also open it up and see files that are owned by anyone. And finally, files that are not owned by me. This would mean files that someone has shared with me. So you can see how it really changes your view of what you're seeing. Now, how can I unshare this document? A really great place to go to unshare a Google Doc is actually your Google Drive. So to get to Google Drive, again, different doorways, I'm going to come to the top left-hand corner of my Google Docs homepage and click on my main menu. And then I'm going to come down to Google Drive. This will take me into a list of all the folders and files that are in my current Google Drive account that I'm using. As I scroll down, how do I know that something is shared? Well, it's pretty easy if you're looking for it. Notice right here next to this document, I actually see two heads. This indicates that the file is shared. Now, when I click on it, it doesn't change anything, but I have now selected the file. Now, if I go up to the top right-hand corner where I can again adjust different things with the file, you'll see a head and shoulders button with a plus sign. This is all about managing how this file is shared. I'm going to click on this and it's going to take me into the sharing options for this particular document or Google Doc, I can say. And it's going to show me who it's currently shared with and give me the ability to actually share it with additional people. In this case, I'm seeing who I've currently shared it with. Notice I can click on the arrow, change how they're sharing the file. Right now they're an editor, so I could change them to being a viewer only. Or at the very bottom, I can say remove, and now the file's no longer shared with them. And I want you to see what this looks like when it's unshared. So I'm going to go ahead and hit escape. The change has been made. Okay. Actually, I have to save it. Then it's going to update the change. Sometimes you may need to refresh the browser, but if I scroll down again and look at that file, you'll notice that when I click on it and highlight it, it no longer has the little two heads next to it, indicating that it's now been unshared. So we want you to go in, share a file, and then go to your Google Drive and try unsharing it because it's what makes using web-based applications so powerful. Hey everybody, welcome back. I want to show you my top favorite feature of Google Docs, and that's the ability of two people to be editing the document at the same time. This is what we call real-time collaboration, and it's my favorite feature, again, of web-based apps. So right here, I have this letter. Right now, I have it open in my Google Docs home screen, and it's shared with one of my coworkers. I'm going to go ahead and double-click on it and open it up. Now, my coworker is also in this document. They got an email link to it, and they're actually inside of it at the same time as me. But I want you to see a couple things about this, what makes it so unique. First of all, you'll notice there are two sets of cursors, and as my coworker clicks around in the file, they'll see it. And yeah, it's me. Also, if I go to the top right-hand corner, I can also see their profile picture if they have one or their initials, and it will actually let me see a contact option for them where I can come in and I can email them, I could send them a comment, and I can even, if they're set up, connect with them through a video call or schedule an event to work with them. But as they click around in the document, I'm actually seeing what they're doing. Now, if they make changes, will I see their changes update in the file? The answer is yes. It can take a little bit of time, but I want you to see that my coworker, aka me, is actually making changes to the file, and I'm seeing their changes real time because everything is saving back to Google Drive as these changes are being made. And it's a great way for two people to be able to simultaneously work on a file. Can I still make changes in the file? Absolutely. I'm going to come in and make a change, and my coworker on the other side who's in the file with me would see my change at the same time. So everything saves back to your Google Drive. The biggest thing that will impede this process is your internet's upload speed because you are having to be dependent upon it. But it's a great way for two people to work in a file simultaneously, and it's probably my favorite thing, as I've already said a million times about Google Docs. And we don't have to worry about saving anything because everything is saving back to that Google Drive as we go. So if we close the Google Doc without saving, it doesn't matter because it's already saved. Now, we'd like you to try this out, but you'll need to get a partner, share one of the files in the exercise files folder, and then have them go into it with you. They'll see a link in their email when they share the file, and that's all that's required to share a file. And then you can both see what it's like to try real-time co-authoring within Google Docs. Hey everybody, welcome back. I want to be able to take a letter that I've created as a Google Doc and download it. Now in our practice files folder, if you go in, you can look for business letter-A and try this out. Great thing about Google Docs, this is another thing that is super easy to do. Not only that, you can actually download your Google Docs as different file formats. To access your download options, we're going to come to the File drop-down menu and come into Download. And when you actually come and click on the arrow, you're going to see several different options. Microsoft Word, open document format, rich text format, PDF, plain page, web page, and EPUB. Let's start with Microsoft Word, right? I've had a Google Doc, now I need to transfer it into Microsoft Word, so I click on this. What we'll see in the top right-hand corner is any downloads you've done will actually give you the ability to open the file, or notice over here on the right, it can show in a folder. I'm just going to open the file up, then I'll show you what it looks like. So it just opened, and right here you can actually see that it's now open on my computer. I would, of course, need Microsoft Word for this to work on my device. And it's not free, right? But it has opened, and I would now need to save it where I want it to go, but it does have by default the same name as my Google Doc. Now, if I jump back into Google Docs again, let's look at one more option that's super common. With this one, I'm going to go back to my downloads, and this time I'm going to pick a PDF. Another very common format. Again, we'll see it open up. I actually already downloaded it as a PDF, so it's in there twice. But if I click on Open File, this one will actually open depending on the type of browser that you're using in the browser window. And then from here, I could, for example, come up and save it locally on my device. I also will have different options, but this would allow me to have a PDF copy. And again, when I do these downloads, it is making a copy of my letter that's currently in my Google Docs folder. So it's really easy to do. Again, open the business letter-A up from exercise files and try creating some downloads of it. It's spiffy. Hey everybody, welcome back. There are certain things that we know Google Docs does well and some things where we'd like more options. This is where you can install add-ons. These are additional applications that can run inside of Google Docs. Great news, a lot of these are free, so we want you to know that they are available so that you can explore some of them. We're going to actually come into Google Docs. Right now I have my business letter document open, but you could do this from any of your Google Docs. And I'm going to come up to the drop-down menu that says Add-Ons. After I do this, you'll see that right now I don't have any, so I'm going to get some add-ons just by clicking on Get Add-Ons, and it's going to open up the Google Docs add-ons. Now, these are actually coming from the Google Workspace Marketplace, and this is where there are lots of add-on apps that you can bring into Google Docs. Up here, notice you can search for different ones. So, for example, I'm going to come in and look for the Doc Builder. This is a very popular add-on inside of Google Docs, and you'll notice that it allows me to bring in reusable snippets of text. I'm going to select it, and then this is going to install, and you'll notice that as I do this, it's asking me for permission to do this. So you want to be careful that you're not bringing in anything you shouldn't. It tells you about the things that it will do, and then it's actually going to install this add-on into my Google Docs. And you'll notice to access it, it tells me I'll need to go into my add-ons menu. When I'm done, I can close it, and notice that if I ever wanted to uninstall it, I could come back because it runs inside of Google Docs. Now when I go to my add-ons, I can come in and I'll see the Doc Builder add-on inside this menu. If I open it, you'll notice that what it does is it actually opens it up over here. And you'll see that I can actually add snippets of text to this add-on, and it will actually allow me to bring them into my document. You'll see there are many different kinds, but it's basically a way, like you see here, to add different kinds of text into my document. Like right here, I've added a couple different ones. These will undo, but these are things that Google Docs would not do well on its own, and that's what makes the add-ons so exciting. So open up Google Docs and try exploring some of the different add-ons that are there and play with them in one of your own Google Docs. Hey everybody, welcome back. We want to look at a way that you can actually create your own code inside of Google Docs. Now what we're looking at is accessing the Google Apps script. This is a rapid application development platform that makes it fast and easy to create business applications that interface or integrate with applications like Google Docs. What you're doing here is you're writing code in modern JavaScript, and it has access to built-in libraries for your favorite Google apps. So what we want to do here to access a script within Google Docs is click and then go up to the Tools drop-down menu. And as you come into Tools towards the bottom, you will see Script Editor. This will actually take you into the app's script for this Google app, or I should say Google Doc that we're in. And then you would be able to actually come in and create your own scripting inside of the Google Doc. So again, this is something that does require a little bit of code knowledge, but if you have that, you can really use it to help add to your Google Docs and give it more functionality. And for people that are, again, developers and programmers, this really makes Google Docs an unlimited space where they can really customize the application. So go ahead, open up a new blank Google Doc and try going into, again, the Tools drop-down menu and then down to Script Editor so that you can go in and actually access this area and play with it on your own. Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining us for this advanced Google Docs course. We have looked at everything from creating tables to inserting images to even creating charts using Google Sheets. We really hope this course has been helpful, and please come back and take more.